Okay. All right. So I want to just jump in. Let's just go. Start cooking. We got a lot to do today. So let's make it happen. One thing I do want to say, if you have questions, just pop them in the chat for now. And then as I see, I'll try to answer those.
Let me handle the. My bad.
And then one thing I do want to say is pop this back in here. This is the original sorry, that's the form I shared yesterday. For anybody, as you guys have requests, I'll just try to land it one more time, which is like, I am committed to making this the best workshop possible, just like all the other workshops that we do. And so we go out of our way to prepare everything. But sometimes there's something that you guys would find super valuable that's not covered. And so while I'm in workshop mode and workshop mood, put something in here. Again, I'm explicitly not promising that I will get any if or all of the things that are put in there, but I will do my best to do the ones that I feel like are relevant. And a couple of you guys already filled things out. Um, for example, like, oh, I want something that will like somebody asked for a Eugene Schwartz swipe file, which is good, but we have that. You guys have that in the other one. Somebody else asked for something where you could just put in a link to a form and get the transcript sent to you for anything, a YouTube link, something else like that, which is something that we're going to try to put together. Advice for editing and like how to work with editors, things like that. So just to let you know, I'm checking all of those things and I am adjusting in real time. So as thoughts kind of come up, feel free to put those things in there. The other thing that people had mentioned was like for yesterday, they're like, oh man, it would be really great to have an SOP where I could just go like step by step through all of this stuff, which makes a lot of sense. And sometimes I get overexcited and I forget to do things step by step. So I have a nice little SOP that I think is going to be super useful for you guys. So with all that said, let's start cooking. All right. All right. Give me a second to get adjusted here. All right. You guys can see all this okay, yeah? Looks clean.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So day number 2, just to remind ourselves of our goals. It's important to have goals in life. Goal is to make winning ads and make money. That's it. That's what we're trying to do. So hopefully your brain feels healthy from yesterday. I know we covered a lot of stuff yesterday. Today, what we're going to go through are the SOP that I just mentioned to you, the complete cache system, okay, and how you can use this both to analyze swipes, make new ads, things like that. Probabilistic curation, which by the way was not even my word. This was Mario's word, if you can believe it or not. We're switching sides today.
I knew I could slip in there
Pause.
as one of your words. I knew I could slip in there as one of your words. That's why I was like, fuck it.
I'm like, oh, I like this. I'll take it. The end of the goal of today, besides showing a lot of things and teaching, the tangible goal is hopefully yesterday, many of you were able to kind of break down and go through different segments. I know there's some things that will be a little were left a little not super clear, but after today, the goal is for you to have all your segments mapped out and also 30 specific ad concepts that you can use. Um, so that tomorrow we can start making these ads. Tomorrow we have a lot of stuff that is prepared. I think you guys are gonna. Uh, I have somebody helping who I'll introduce tomorrow, but he was showing me some of the stuff we have prepared, SOPs and things like that, and I'm like, holy shit! Like that should be like that should be its own training. Like all those SOPs should just be its own one. So I think tomorrow is going to be super awesome. Um, cool. But first, let's do a little quick review. So put your brain hats on, or whatever you want to call it. Put your thinking caps on. Let's do a little bit of review. The more that you review this stuff, the more it goes into your system, which is what matters. Okay. The people who use AI the best are the people who have the knowledge in here and know how to use the tool. That's what I've experienced so far. The people who just use the tool, they suck. And the people who just use their brain, well, I'll leave it at that. So first thing is, how do we define a segment? How do we define a segment? Slice of the market. Okay, good. And what determines how we slice that up? Core desire and pain. Yeah. So the core desire, pain, outcome, that's typically the way that you're gonna structure it. The next one is the constraints. Give me an example of a type of constraint that would want you to kind of slice up a different segment. You could do money. Money's an interesting one. I may not do that. If you're a parent or not, could be interesting. Core constraints to me that make the most sense are typically identity based and values based. So time are like resource based constraints, which are okay. But typically the difference, if you have a segment of your market that is like low income versus a segment of your market that's higher income, you may want to segment that. But typically that's not the case. Typically it's around like identity or values. Okay. Um, you can also do it based on, yeah. So identity and values is sort of like, how do they identify themselves? If you're selling to someone, if you're trying to sell to copywriters versus trying to sell to anyone, like let's say I want to teach people how to be a marketer as like a make money online. I could position it as, hey, you can leave your 9 to 5 and make money online, or I could position it as, hey, you're a copywriter. I'm going to tell you how to make more money, right? With this other opportunity using your skill set. So that would be more identity based. We looked at a values based one, which was like the plant juice, right? I want fertilizer that makes my plants grow faster. I want fertilizer that makes my plants grow faster with values. Okay. So that's important with these different segments. Um, I'm going to try to answer that question, Nikolai, but maybe it will be answered as we go through this. So what did I say? And this is not what anyone else says, but me and maybe you after this. What is the goal of every single ad? The 5 different parts. Uh-oh, we got the pen of doom coming in. Hold on. Don't color on my screen.
Let's start with that bullshit again. I can't do that again.
Okay, so we got attention. What else? What are the 5 different things that these things can do? Belief shifting, good. Belief shifting. Excuses, yeah, make excuses for them to buy right now. What else? Attention, beliefs, constraints, desires, excuses. Adara was paying attention. Yes. Remember the A, B, C, D, E one. And this right here is just a high level framework. This is a high level thinking framework for you. It's less of a framework that you're going to be like, let me go and just make my A, B, C, D and start to write it. This is just for you to have a sense of like, okay, I'm sitting down to write an ad. What am I trying to do? Well, I got to get a lot of attention and I'm probably going to try to shift beliefs and I'm probably going to try to eliminate the constraints and objections and I'm going to increase the desire and pain that they already have and I'm going to make an excuse for them to buy right now. Okay. It maps on pretty well to copy blocks as well. So those two sort of map on together, but it's just a way for you to be like, all right, what the fuck am I doing with an ad? Okay. And the way that I would sort of start to formulate it is like this, which is just to show you that attention, if you look in the chat, attention is the biggest one, right? The more attention that you have, the more permission you have to actually do some of the other stuff, the belief stuff, the constraint stuff, the desire stuff, the excuse stuff. Cool. All right, let's go through these. Remember, we talked about our buckets of awareness versus specific stages. We kind of position them as buckets. So what is the goal for the, I'm going to skip the unaware bucket for now. What is the goal for the problem aware bucket? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to take people from? From what to what? To align on the UMP. Good. So from a raw symptom or their understanding of a problem to your specific unique mechanism, your unique model of the problem, your unique understanding or whatever that is, right? So give me some different, whoops. Well, you almost guys got to be quicker than that. You must got all the goods right there. I promise you I have no links to share with you today. So When you're trying to take people from a symptom to like a UMP, what are you trying? What exactly are you? Actually, let me skip that question. Who cares? All right, let's talk about UMS. So I just gave away the answer. But for solution aware, what are you trying to do? What's the goal of the solution aware bucket? Align with our UMS. Great. What's the goal of the product aware bucket? Yeah, DSI, category of one. Make them believe that we're the best. Okay, our brand is the best. Awesome. And then most aware, you basically just got to push them over the edge. Discounts, urgency, time-based stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. DJ, yeah. Khaled Maxing for sure. All right. When we talk about alignment, let's get more specific with that. What are we doing with alignment? What is alignment? What does it mean for somebody to be aligned with our UMP or a UMS? Belief. Yeah. Is it one belief or multiple beliefs or what is it? Yeah, I would say it's typically multiple beliefs. We skipped this. Actually, I skipped about 70 slides yesterday. So um, go back and look at the extended director's cut on the slides yesterday because we just ran out of time. I had to skip many. These are clusters of beliefs, networks of beliefs. Beliefs kind of sit together, right? So what I believe about other solutions versus what I believe about this. So there's clusters of beliefs. This is why alignment is kind of this big overarching term. Okay. And what we want to do is if we want to get really specific, and again, you can be more intuitive with this, you can be very specific, is you take what alignment means for you and you tease out all the different beliefs that if they believe these 10, 15 things about the problem model or about their solution or about me and my product, their probability of buying would be so high. Okay. So we're just teasing out those beliefs. And then what are the 4 belief shifting like techniques that we talked about yesterday that you can do to help bring people into alignment? Install, undo, accommodate, reframe. Great. And then proof would be useful for all of those. Just bombard them with proof. Proof bomb them. Okay, cool. Awesome. So all of that seems pretty clear and straightforward, doesn't it? Good. All right. It's not so bad. It's not really so bad when you go through it. Right? Now, I was gonna force you guys to look at this. Come back and look at this while your brains are fresh. And I encourage you to. Did anyone go back and look at this? Yeah, the beach ball of despair. Anyone go go back and stare into it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to encourage you to just play around. I'm going to skip it. I was going to go through the exercise again, but I'm going to skip it. Go back through and try to play with it a little bit more. I know it's a little bit tricky, but I think when it clicks for some of you, it's going to be super, super helpful for understanding how to do this. Okay. So if there's not enough requests, maybe at the end we can dive in and spend some time going through it. But we have so much today that we have a lot of stuff. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to give you some SOPs and talk a little bit procedurally here. For some of you, if you're more of a freelancer or creative strategist role, you are used to like, I'm going to work with a client and I have to onboard really, really fast. For some of you, if it's your own business or you have a couple of businesses, this is a process that, you've probably already done to some degree. And so maybe this is just a refresh for a different way to look at it, right? So just adjust what I'm about to say based on your own position, okay? But I'm going to speak as if you are starting from a fresh slate. And what do you do if you want to start writing ads for a specific offer, right? Or client or whatever it is, right? I'm going to talk like this is exactly what I did. For those of you who were in Genesis over the last 4 weeks, you saw us do this with multiple different clients. And I'll show you some of the ads that came from that. So the first thing that I want to get clear is that whenever you start, the first thing that I do, I'm not saying everyone needs to do this, but I do recommend it, is just a massive consumption phase. Massive consumption phase. So what do I mean by this? When you onboard or you're starting with a client, my recommendation is Don't get super nerdy and linear of like, oh, let me do this and let me do this and let me do that. At least what makes the most sense to me is just throw yourself into everything. So this means like round robin, looking at, yeah, like round robin looking at product, round robin looking at mechanisms, round robin looking at sales pages, look at people's ads, read different comments. You literally want to saturate and soak your brain in an understanding of the product, in an understanding of the avatar, in an understanding of the market. That's what you're basically trying to do, right? And the reason why you do that is you need reference points in order to figure out patterns. Okay. Everything comes down to patterns. That's really like one of the main jobs and goals of a creative strategist is to be able to recognize, articulate, and make intelligent decisions about patterns that they're seeing. But unless you have enough reference points, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. So the first step is massive, massive consumption. Once you've gone through the consumption phase, then I think it makes sense to go through everything linearly because you have references and you already have ideas. Okay. So let me walk through this SOP real quick. I'm going to switch how I share my screen. Cool. You guys can see this okay, right? Great. So this is the SOP here. This thing is a monster, and we'll continue to add on it, but I think it's going to be very, very helpful for you guys to go through. Okay, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but just to give you some reference. So first thing is massive consumption phase. You're going to round robin, meaning just kind of bounce around between your market, your avatar, and your product. Done. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to notice the pattern. What pattern am I talking about? You have to ask yourself why. Okay, even with many of the creative strategists who are in the group, even ones who are successful like Mr. Cosman, who's here, I even have to get mad at him because sometimes you look at something and you don't ask why. You're just like, oh, okay, I see this. And it's like, but did you think why? Like, why do you think this ad is working? Why do you think those ads are not working? Why are these themes recurring? Why are these things being repeated in the comments? Right? Like, there's certain gaps, certain ideas I see tested everywhere, and there's certain ideas that I know of that are not being tested. There are gaps in the marketing. So I'm trying to pay attention to these things and using the cache framework I'm going to show you today to start to kind of get a little more granular in how you're recognizing those patterns. Right? And then you're going to start to ask yourself, again, what hypotheses do I have? What beliefs need shifting, et cetera? And then as you go through the consumption phase, allow yourself space to just let random ideas and thoughts come to the surface. Okay. I believe in all of it. I love the creative pull from nothing intuitive thing. You guys know, like, I don't really like swiping just from like an aesthetic, spiritual level. I don't like it. I like to be a creative person. It just happens that swiping is like the smartest thing to do typically. Right. But give yourself permission, absorb everything in the market, and then come up with your ideas. And the more that you do these things together, you'll figure it out. Yeah. And round robin, I do it manually and I do it with AI. I'll chat with AI. I'll just read things. Again, I'm just trying to saturate with no goal in mind. And to be honest, this is the most fun process in the world to me. And I think the best marketers are creative strategists. Again, if you're a business owner, it may not be different, but if you really want to be a creative strategist, the number one secret thing in the world is to be a curious person. I love this. I want to know what a mom who's 45 years old and lives in the Midwest feels about, whatever feels about her skin. Like, I want to know at such a deep level. I'm so curious. I want to know what media she consumes. I want to know what her life is like. I'm just a curious person. I think that's the best trait. Okay. As well as this autism. They want you to get a job so you can't drive around for hours and notice the pattern. See? But you guys need to notice the pattern. Next thing you do is you're going to define your segments, right? So this is the process that I would say to define your segments. First thing is I would create a starter build a buyer for your entire market and use your offer brief. You guys don't have this bot, but I'm going to give it to you at the end of this. It's just a way to map out the offer that you have. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to use Claude, Opus, Sonnet to start brainstorming potential segments for your market. And you're typically going to aim for about 1 to 5. Again, if you're a big advertiser, right, you're spending a lot of money, you could have more than that. For some of you, it may just be 1, but 1 to 5 is a nice natural sweet spot. And you're looking for the natural breaks and clusters based on outcomes, desires and pains, constraints, or demographics, or anything else relevant. You can use this thinking tool like this lucid chart I showed you yesterday to help kind of assist you visually. Or you could use this prompt, okay, that I wrote in here, which is I was like, let me just write a little prompt, and then it just came out and flowed. So it's pretty good. And then you would paste in this one as well. Again, all this instructions are clear, and you're just going to kind of go back and forth with it. And I think there's a bot that's also been prepared that will help you as well. Okay? Yeah, schizomasking. Cool. Then you're going to use the segment report builder. I showed you guys this yesterday. All right. Once you have your ideas mapped out, you can use this to help you kind of visually construct it. And then you're going to save it into a Google Doc or a spreadsheet or whatever makes sense to you. Okay. And I would not fill in the awareness sophistication stuff yet. Then I would create a new, for each segment, I would create a new Build-A-Buyer. That was a question that came up yesterday. Okay. I would create a new Build-A-Buyer for each segment. Then for each segment, I'm going to try to figure out what bucket are they in for levels of awareness. Are most people sort of in the problem aware bucket? Are most people in the solution aware bucket, etc.? Again, the thing with a bucket is that just because you're in a problem aware bucket doesn't mean that the same job needs to be applied to you. For instance, if I have pain and all I know is I have pain and I'm trying to convince you you have electrical inflammation, I need to just say you have pain. Pain is inflammation. Inflammation is caused by this dirty electricity. Cool. If you're in the pain market and you believe that your pain is just because of old age, then I need to do a different job. I need to say, hey, it's not just old age. Let me unwind that belief. It's also inflammation, and then it's electrical inflammation. So even in the bucket, there's different jobs that you're trying to do. You're trying to unconvince them, deconvince them of other solutions. You're trying to deepen the belief in the models they have and make them more articulate in the direction that makes sense to you. And you're trying to do a bunch of other different kinds of things in there. All right. So this prompt that I gave you here is going to help you to kind of figure this stuff out. Right? Awesome. So it'll help you to figure out the buckets that you have, as well as the specific jobs that you're probably going to want to process. Okay. Oh yeah, I put thanks daddy in the prompt. Couldn't help myself. A couple little Easter eggs for you. All right. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to save all your awareness and sophistication stuff into the brief. Okay, you already have that. For each segment, then you can build out a basic ABCDE brief. Again, this is mostly just for your own edification, just to be aware of like, okay, what's the kind of stuff that's going to get this person's attention? What beliefs should I shift? What constraints do I address? What desires to activate, etc. Again, this is less operational, right? Operationalize, whatever the fuck word I came up with, or I was using. This is going to be just for your edification to saturate your brain or people on your team so they have an idea. Every time I sit down to write an ad, this is the stuff to focus on. Cool. Then you're going to create all your concepts for each segment. There are 190 concepts in this infinite ad concepts bot. Okay. Now, if you want to be super laser with it, I would do 190 different concepts for each segment. Okay. But if you want to kind of skip it because we don't want to use so many tokens and it takes a long time, I don't really blame you. You can run just the avatar part for each segment. Okay. Again, you have access to this, so it's going to be pretty clear a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know why the prompt, the small text makes it feel like, wow, this thing is sick. Okay. Then we're going to go through this together. Like once you have, I gave you this bot to just give you all of these concepts all at once, but you guys know garbage in, garbage out. So it's 190 concepts that it's just spitballing based on what it thinks. And it is pretty smart. So it thinks pretty well, but it's not thinking perfectly. It'll probably get you 80, 85% of the way there. For those of you who really want to go deep, I'm giving you tons of other bots and tools and thinking things that you could use to help go deeper on the stuff that really matters. We'll talk about that today. And then you have some other stuff here that you're not going to understand because we haven't gone through it today. Okay. Does it seem like it'll be helpful for you to kind of figure out, like, to put everything we shared yesterday into sequence? It's a trick question. You better say yes. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Cool. Good. And thank you for those who asked for it, because that's why I made it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. All right. So let's go through this cash system, cash money. This is the ultra simple system for writing 300,000 to 400,000 plus ads. Again, this is not a made up number. This is math. It follows a very basic system. Again, cash, which stands for concepts, angles, styles, and hooks. A concept is something like an avatar information about your market, information about your product, your guarantee, right? Could be a concept. So a concept is basically just a regular old plain Jane fact about your market, about the person you're trying to talk to, or about your product, twisted to be relevant to them. So if you have a guarantee in your product, that's just a fact, right? But I could switch it and say you have no risk because you're 100% guaranteed. That's a concept. And you can make an ad out of that. That may not be the best performing ad, but you could potentially make an ad or some kind of marketing material out of that concept. Another concept might be, you know, one of the main buying triggers for buying this pet supplement is seeing your dog struggle to get up on the couch. That's just a fact. right? Now let's flip it into something that's relevant. If you have just noticed that your dog is struggling to get on the couch, they're going to die in 7 days if you don't do what I say. Okay. Obviously, don't say that, but that would probably work actually as an ad, fortunately. Right? You get kind of what I'm putting down. A concept is basically just a fact. His curls are also impressive. Oh, nice. Oh, yes. Praise. I know I got the one beautiful curl that came down
I'm
today.
reading the chat. We're talking good about you for a couple seconds. I'll tell you when
Yeah,
it's
my
safe.
bad, my bad. My bad. All right. Now we got now we have angles, okay? The difference between concepts and angles is very, very fuzzy. You know me, if you guys know me, you know that I love clarity in thinking. So I was like, I want to figure out what's the difference between a concept and angle. And I was going deep down the rabbit hole and I was like, pause. Like it's okay. Because we're trying to be creative here. So even if the framework is not perfect and it's a little fuzzy, I wanted to keep some of the fuzz in because it's going to be generative. So some concepts overlap with some of these angles, and you could try to tease them apart if you want. The big distinction is that a concept is a fact made relevant to the audience, and an angle is just a lens at which you approach it. Okay. So you could take you could take a fact about the market that they don't like. Here's a fact like metformin for blood sugar, right? Metformin, there's a bunch of facts about metformin. They take metformin. Metformin is good in some ways, it's bad in some ways. And you could take a lens to it of stop taking metformin, you're going to die. Okay. Or you could take a lens of the makers of metformin don't want you to know this. Okay. That's like a conspiracy one. I used to work inside one of the biggest blood sugar, whatever, and I'm about to tell you something. That's like a whistleblower angle, right? My grandma took metformin and she flew away, right? That would be like a story angle. Okay. So again, the angles and the concepts, there is a distinction between them, but some concepts kind of blur into angles and some angles blur into concepts. And so I left some of that stuff in there. All right. But in general, you can apply an angle to any kind of concept that's on there. And for a hook, what we're going to call a hook is just the opening line. That's it. It's just the opening. It's just the words that you say to open up. That's all it is. Okay. The concept is the core idea you're communicating. The angle is the lens at which you look at it. The style is how you present it. And the hook is the opening line or the first thing that they see, right? Depending on the style. So I put some examples on here. Again, I'm going to give you a huge document with all of these, right? Now, you can multiply all of these together. Like I said, there's still some fuzz, but you can multiply them together. You can multiply your concept times your angle times your style and times your hook, and you can create whole new ads. So if I gave you 190 concepts, and when I give you 55 angles, and when I give you 29 different styles, even without testing new hooks, you're looking at about 300,000 plus different ad ideas. And then considering that you can layer in additional hooks for each one of these, plus multiple ideas per concept, you can make way more than 300,000 ads, right? And I just like that meme. I had to put it in there. Now, one key point, which I already kind of addressed, is some of these ads won't work. Okay. Some of these ads are just not going to make that much sense, right? A conspiracy about a guarantee. Like that doesn't just like that. You could, but it's the probability of it working, which we'll talk about in a later, is probably lower. And it probably doesn't make that much sense. All right. Others are going to be redundant. And like I said, there's going to be fuzzy concepts, but that's okay because we want a little entropy in the system to maximize creativity. Now, the other thing, sorry, I'm looking at what's next to come. All right. And I wondered if I should leave it. Okay. For swiping, this is also incredibly powerful. Why do you think that understanding this layout here, this cache system, could be powerful for swiping? Let me get some theories. You know what parts to swipe. You can categorize it. You can break ads down. Exactly. So when you look at an ad that's working, you can get very granular with it. But this is a nice sort of like human level, rough level way to break things down. Is this ad working because of the idea behind it? Is it working because they're responding to the angle? Is it working because the style is great or the presenter is great? Or is it working because this hook is really, really good? Or is it a combination of all of these things or parts of these things together? Again, because they blend together, you're never going to know, right? But you're just going to be able to see kind of big macro trends, but that's what you're looking for. right? So just like you guys said, you can easily look at an idea and easily break down the DNA of the ad. So I'm going to give you a quick example. Okay, we're going to look at this one. I had to pick the worst, most uncomfortable screenshot. So, anyways, why are you guys looking so long? Bunch of freaks in the chat. All right, but let's actually look at this real quick, just as a quick example, not because I'm in defeat or anything. All right. So let's watch this real quick.
Video. If you are type 2 and take metformin, well, check your feet and legs for these two things that I'm going to show you in this video right now. So, for anyone looking to take back control of their life and their blood sugar health, go ahead and tap on the button below to see my brand new free video right now. And when you get there, you'll see the 3 worst drinks that folks with type 2.
So let's look at
if you are type 2 and take metformin, well, check your feet and legs for these two things that I'm going to show you in this video right now. So,
okay, so just based on that opening section, what is the concept more or less? Yeah, the concept is basically metformin has side effects that you don't know. Right? That's kind of the concept of it. There's also sort of, and this is where the concept angle distinction gets unclear or gets fuzzy, is like you could also say the concept is a form of testable proof. Check your feet for these signs, right? Or like a kind of a quiz diagnostic. And that can also sort of be the angle. Right? So if I were to break this down,
if you are type 2,
what I would say is the concept is metformin can be bad for you, right? The angle would be a testable proof, kind of quiz, check this angle out. The style is going to be a talking head, right? Like very basic, whatever. And the hook is if you are blank and take this, well, check this out. Right? And of course, there's many other things. Like as you kind of go through the rest of the ad, there's a lot of things. So if you were to look at this and be like, okay, this ad is working, right? Now you could just swipe it verbatim, right? Or let's say it's working for you. It's not working for a competitor. And you're like, okay, this thing is working. I want to write new ads like it. What are you going to do first? Like, how are you going to start to think about this? What hypotheses would you want to test? Bald women. Yeah. That'd be pretty good. All right. So, I mean, there's different things on here. So if the concept is like, all right, metformin, I'd be like, okay, they're responding to metformin, right? So let me just talk about metformin. And then maybe they're also could respond to other solutions they know about, right? And then also maybe we just test a bunch of different testable proof. Sniff your elbow if you take metformin, right? If it smells like cranberries, not that, but you get an idea. Or you can do sort of the same style, right? You could do a different spokesperson. You could do a yeah, you could do a bunch of different things on there. Okay. And then you can combine them together. So this is stuff you guys are doing already naturally, but just pay attention to like see the concepts, the angles, the styles, and the hooks, because it's going to give you a little more dexterity when you're looking at these patterns and knowing what to test next. Okay. It should be pretty simple. And hopefully that's clarifying for you guys. So let's keep going. All right, this allows you to detect patterns a lot easier so you know what to swipe. And this is not everything that's possible, by the way. All the concepts, angles, styles, and hooks I'm going to give to you is pretty comprehensive, but there are going to be new angles and ideas that emerge that I have not predicted or I completely forgot to put in there. So you can use your own system. That's the cool thing about this system is like you're not limited to the concepts I have. If I give you the list and you hate some of the concepts, you're like, none of these work, strip it down from 190 to 29. right? And strip my angles down to 30 angles that you see working all the time. And now you have a cluster and a correlation specific to your market that you can just go back to and dip into that pool over and over and over again. Okay, there's more you can add and more that you can delete. All right. Now, this right here, I'm going to give you guys access to this doc. You're going to see a little mini version, but this is basically going to have all of the concepts on it. I mean, this is hefty. This is pretty damn big, right? So a lot of stuff on there for you to pay attention to. I'm going to give you access to all these angles as well inside of a doc, the 55, and all of the different styles that we have on here, right? So we will go through it. Actually, let me give you a quick little order for the concepts so you know what you're looking at. The concepts are basically broken down into avatar facts about your avatar, market facts, which is about the kind of competitive landscape, what's going on externally, product facts, which are about this, and psychology toolkit. I want to call it like the MAPS system, but I couldn't figure out what to call psychology. So you guys can let me know. Psychology toolkit is just sexy stuff. All right. You guys will get this at the end of it. So for avatar, you can kind of read through it. It's demographic stuff, self-concepts, core problems, cultural touchstones. Okay. Somebody give me a number, by the way. We'll do this exercise in a second, but somebody give me a number. A number between 1 and, all right, 43. I like 43. It's a good random one. So 43 is the relationship cascade. So this is what I call intensification. Intensification is basically you're painting the picture for why they're this is what you do for markets where the problem is painful, but not necessarily like life-threatening, super urgent, and you want to really build up the intensity of it and show how it just gets bad. Actually, you can do this with any market. So a relationship cascade, somebody give me like a market. Acne, all right, or dating. Let's say dating. So for dating, you could be like, you know, if you're a single guy over 40 and you recently got divorced, I understand how hard it is to get out there in the market. But and then you can go and we have to think of some different angles, but you can basically go into the idea that like, hey, if you don't fix this problem right now, or you could just like, you know, the scariest thing I see with guys who just recently get divorced and get out there in the market is that they have about a 2 to 3 month window to do these 3 specific things before they start declining. And typically they never get back in the dating pool again. It's like they lost their swag and their mojo. And there's this 2 to 3 month window that I see all the time. And it's super, super scary because those guys who do get out of it, right, they actually thrive better than most, right? Because they're blah, 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 blah. But the ones who don't are the ones who go back down. This is how it works. First it goes from this, then it goes to this, then it goes to this, then it goes to that. And if you want to know what these 3 warning signs are, click the button below to blank, 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 right? So again, there has to be a little moving forward, but this is just to show you this idea of the intensification in your relationships can be applied to almost any other market. And it's a thinking tool to force you to think outside the box for ideas that you typically may not stumble upon, right? So you have avatar ones, you have market ones, whatever. Let's look at the psychology ones because those are definitely the most fun. The psychology ones are the ones that overlap the most with angles, but they're still pretty cool. So we have our 7 critical beliefs. We have metaphors and analogies. We have characterizations, naming and nicknames, testable proof, reverse causation. We'll come back to some of this stuff in just a second. Different types of evidence that you could put on here. And I'm going to show you how you can use AI, even if you don't even fucking understand what the analogy formula is. You just copy and paste it, and the AI typically will understand what it is and know how to write this stuff. Okay, so you have a big, big masterful thing on here as well. Cool. All right. Now, that's what I'm going to give you. And you have, of course, you have a bot that will generate all of this stuff on here as well. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use this very, very specifically. Actually, I did kind of just show you, but let me show you in real life. somebody give me a, and this is just the concepts. We have not even gotten into the angles and styles and stuff like that. Okay. And by the way, what you're looking at, this is inside of Oracle, this or Genesis Oracle, right? It has all our bots and everything on here, and we're adding all of them for everyone on here. Okay. The Poe bots are not going away, but you guys can use this because it's super, super cool, as you'll see. Okay. But the bot I'm going to use, everyone on this workshop, whether you're in Genesis or not, you have access to the AdScript bot for right now. So this is what I'm going to be using, which, by the way, was made by Mr. Ron Javier, who's in here, he's on our bot building team. I'm going to be trying to shout out a lot of the people on the bot building team who have helped. But he's one who built this one. Is a really, really good bot, and he's great at building bots. So if you need another bot builder, you got Max, you got Ron, you got many other ones. All right. So let's look at this this one. Somebody give me a number between 1 and 190. All right, we got 77. Cool. So this right here is the output for all the concepts, the same bot. And I'm going to show you how we can do this. So let's go to 77. All right, so 77 is cultural documentaries, right? So this is the kind of stuff that they pay attention to. Again, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to want to research a little bit more because it's just pulling whatever it is that they think matters. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but this is a pretty good start. I'm literally just going to copy 77. I'm going to go to my ad writer, and I'm going to put in 2 documents, my Build-A-Buyer, which you guys have access to that bot for right now, so you can make your Build-A-Buyers for your segments or for whatever else. And the copy blocks, you guys also have access to that bot. Then all I'm going to say is give me 5 different ideas for these. And again, I have no idea how these will do. This is for a skincare product, like an electrolyte skincare thing. So this is the Goop Lab angle. Gwyneth just did an entire episode on ancient mineral therapies, and honestly, I laughed until I saw it happen to my skin in 9 seconds. There's a broken documentary. There's Netflix documentary exposed exactly what dermatologists have been hiding about expensive creams. I'm so tired of being told to age gracefully when I still feel 35 inside. Turns out you can love yourself and want your skin to match how you feel. Pretty interesting. Finally, doctors are talking about what menopause does to our skin, but nobody's mentioned the cellular dehydration that happens 72 hours after your estrogen drops. The no filter movement made me feel worse about using filters until my skin got so good I don't need them anymore. Right? So pick a number 1 through 5. I think all of these are pretty good. All right, so 5. Here's our magic testing. Yeah, pressing buttons. 5. The no filter movement used to make me feel like crap. Everyone posting these real selfies with perfect skin while I needed a full face of makeup just to feel human. I'm 54 and honestly, I'm jealous. I was jealous of women brave enough to go barefaced. Then 3 weeks ago, my daughter tagged me in one of those post a makeup free photo challenges. I panicked, like a full on anxiety spiral. But here's what changed everything. I started doing this weird 9-second thing every morning with my face still damp from washing. Sounds ridiculous, but based on how your skin cells actually absorb moisture at the molecular level. Day 4, day 9, day 14, no filter, no makeup, just my actual face. Got 47 comments asking what I had done. Cool. And then again, you can just keep going through these different ones. Yeah, and you can make these UGC. Again, those are all styles, which we'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, you could do any of these ones on here. Now, what's cool, this is you guys have access to some of these as well, but I'm gonna show you a couple little things. Let's say that the copy is really good, which it is. You can use, but you want different hooks. So give me 10 hooks for number 1. So what I would do, Yusuf, is I'll put this in the SOP. I would just put my specific Build-A-Buyer for the segment, as well as my brief for that segment, so it's already kind of baked in what it is that you're doing. The no filter movement made me cry at 54. I was too scared to post a makeup-free photo. Now I'm the one getting what work did you have done comments. If no filter post made you feel worse about your skin, don't read this. You'll be jealous. It's pretty good. This 9-second morning trick lets you go makeup free even if you're over 50, right? So now you have different hooks on top of those ads. And let's say that I really like the style of number 1. Where is it? But I want a different writer on it. I could be like, come in here. I'm going to go to my in feed and say, rewrite this. Okay. And now we're just getting a different version using the in-feed VSL one. So it's a little bit longer. It's got a slightly different tone. And boom, right? It's kind of a full sales process that you can do in feed VSL. So you can take a winning ad and you can immediately move it that way. All right. And finally, just for kicks, if you want to, and you wanted Mario to write your skincare ads. Yo, the no filter movement kind of made me hate myself for a while. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Every time I'd scroll Instagram and see another woman posting these braid makeup free selfies with perfect dewy skin, I'd feel like absolute garbage. Because meanwhile, I'm over here needing a full face of makeup just to grab the mail without scaring the neighbor. I'm 54, and if we were being real, I was jealous as hell of women confident enough to post barefaced, while I had bathroom cabinets that looked like a Sephora exploded. Foundation, concealer, powder, contour, just to look normal. So 3 weeks ago, my daughter tagged me in one of those makeup free photo challenges. I legitimately panicked, like heart racing, stomach drop. Oh God, no, panic. Because posting my actual face without makeup, hard pass. And then it just keeps going, right? You guys see, this is pretty simple process from a random number that you guys pulled out. And now we have 5 different ads with 10 different hooks for each of them and different styles and some pretty good copy for all of them. So done. Yeah, we might need Maria Bot as well to pop those in there. We are going to try to, we're going to talk about some of the video stuff as well. But hopefully you can see that between all of those, exactly, Bilal basically said the right things. Do you guys feel convinced that you have like enough ideas? Like you're not going to run out of ideas? Do you at least feel convinced about that? Cool. Because all I did was pick a random concept. I didn't even say do a concept times an angle times a style times a hook. We haven't even gone through all of that. But like you have a fuck ton of concepts at your disposal that you can instantly come up with, right? So now you have to start to figure out, now you have a new problem, which is why we did it in this way. Now you got a new problem, which is like, fuck, I got too many ideas. How do I know which ideas to test next? Okay. So let's answer those questions. Okay. So let's go through a couple different things on here. So the first thing I'm going to do when you're wondering like, oh my God, what ideas do I test, is just for you to know that there are some concepts that are proven to work over and over and over again. Okay. Pretty easy. So these are the ones that I would recommend testing, which is why I'm giving you the 14 best different ad concepts to test. I'm spoiling you guys. Okay. Because I love you. AI Infinite Ad Workshop, top 14 ad concepts, right? Pro tip, for a lot of these, you can take both the good and bad side of things. So why this household object is hurting you versus how this whole household object can help you, right? Here's how this weird thing in your bathroom could be secretly causing your skin to go whatever. Here's how your phone can make you money, right? See how you can just take the bad and the good of either side and they work pretty well. You could also do the quickest, easiest way to get a promise versus the quickest and easiest way to get to a failure. No, these are just grab bag ones because I just want to give you stuff that you're like, okay, here's shit that works. If you get nothing from this, if you're scared of the beach ball of doom and you hate the memes, the feet memes and shit like that, and you're like, I got nothing from this workshop, at least you got these 14 ad concepts, right? So, for example, you got testable proof, common household object, remedy, activity, whatever. Here's the Mickelson twin ones, right? I try to put the link in here for the ones that I have. The quickest and easiest way to accomplish X. I also labeled, these are the concepts here, so you can see what concepts these would correlate to inside that doc. Here's another one. Big, bold claim. All right, this was written, I don't want to say exactly who, but written by somebody in here. Hopefully he didn't get mad that I shared it. But he can say who it was if he wanted to, but that was a really good ad. Here's an authority plus claim. As a dermatologist, I spent 24 years studying skin at the cellular level. Here's one that's working a lot right now. I don't know if it's just a trendy thing, but it's always kind of around. Yes, I'll share all these docs after. What happens when? Here's what happens when. Here's what happens when. Here's what happens when. Here's another one, what X does to X. I mean, literally Gundry, if you just go look at their ads, it's like what cashews does to your brain, what this does to that, what this does to that. Okay. Insight-based ads, we're going to talk about these in just a second. Okay. Creating insight. Those are so important. Okay. This is very extreme, but you don't have arthritis, you don't have cancer, you don't have all these health disorders. What you have is chronic inflammation. So you're creating a new insight. Lists, top 5 or warning signs. 0 to hero stories. And I think, oh yeah, even more. We're only at 11. Metaphors and analogies, really, really powerful. And then these, I don't have transcripts. Sorry guys, I fucked up. Okay, but I'm gonna have my my team make the transcripts here. These are for ads for Mr. Mike Bontempo, who's old Copy Accelerator member that are quite good that he's running now, which is Pop Quiz, which you can see on here, and paradoxical questions, which he has as well. And then I didn't have other ads, so I just put in some basic paradoxical questions and some basic surprising culprits that you could put on here as well.
Actually,
so these, go ahead.
actually, that VSL, and he said he's going to do a follow-up call for us in Genesis about his creator process.
Sick.
So
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought his ads were really good, to be honest. Let's look at one real quick. Hold on. Because I actually thought it was great. I'm going to put, is it Karen or Daniel? Are you guys on the call? I think you are.
this shit's
Can we
doing,
transcribe this one?
stuff's doing well too.
It's these two. That's the ad library, and it's these two ads. They start with, one starts with Pop Quiz, and the other one starts with, why is it that something, something, something? I don't know what it is. If we could get the transcripts of those so I can pop those in, would be super sick. Okay, and I don't know, those other ones I know are winners. I don't know if these are the winners for his, but they're good examples regardless. So
Pop quiz. What's the #1 way to get high-paying clients? Is it A, Facebook ads, B, organic posts, C, YouTube ads, or D, none of the above? The answer may surprise you because if you were one of the 33.2 million American business owners suffering from poor client syndrome, then
poor client syndrome. That's what, yep. I feel it. And then this is the paradoxical questions example.
why is it that some coaches close 10 clients but only see money from one right away? The rest is tied up in payment plans and delays. Waiting keeps you from scaling. Sick of waiting weeks or months to get your money back from campaigns?
Cool. So nothing too crazy, but I want you to have this document so you're like, you just have a go-to, right? If you're not going crazy with testing, or you're just working with the clients, you're like, I need like proven winners. These are your go-to angles. They work. Okay. There's many more that I'll be sharing, you know, in Genesis and around, but that's going to be a really nice start for basically just about everyone. Okay, cool. Let me keep going here. All right. The other thing is that when you get this, where is it? Master C. I'm scared. What is that? What is that? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. When you get this big, I'm scared to open documents on my computer sometimes. If you go into all these concepts here, there are going to be some of them that the AI does a great job at, and some of them that the AI does a decent job, but they're so high leverage that you probably going to want to go a little bit deeper. All right. So which ones are those? Those are going to be, yeah. Basically, my point is you're going to want to do your own research with these concepts. So make your big master document of the concepts. Okay. Look at the ones that are really good, highlight them, and then edit those using deep research tools from AI, old-fashioned research, pain matrix, sales calls, conversations, common sense. Okay. Garbage in, garbage out. So be very thoughtful about editing these concepts yourself, right? I wanted to give you stuff that you can just kind of start, but you can move from there as well, right? And we're going to talk about the styles in just a little bit. Now, oops. And then what I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a bunch of specific bots that you can use. So for example, these, I'm giving you bots that will help you with metaphors, paradoxical questions, characterizations, testable proof, quizzes, and surprising culprits. Okay, so you can go pretty intense in there as well. All right. I also want to talk real quick about insight vectors. Talk about insight vectors. And tomorrow we're going to go through some UGC processes as well. And I'll show you some that we recently made. So we're going to talk about insight vectors. Many of you know I have a soft spot in my heart for insight vectors. You might be wondering, what the fuck is an insight vector? An insight vector is that it comes from me understanding that the most important parts of an ad typically is to give an aha moment, an epiphany, stuff like that. That's what people want. People literally, they have dopamine in their brain when you tell them something that gives them a new insight. They're so valuable to people. Like, people will consume content just for these insights, whatever. What I wanted to figure out was, is there a way to reverse engineer how to come up with insights? Is there a way to reverse engineer how to come up with insights? Now, inside of this concepts, in this psychological one, you're going to see some examples of insights starting from 158 to about 165. These are some of the examples of insight vectors on here. Okay, and let me give you one. Reverse causation. Yeah, this stuff is so good. It's stuff I shouldn't share, but I'm going to. Let's look at reverse causation. One of the most interesting things that you can do if you want to figure out how to make something insightful for somebody is just flip the natural order of causation in their mind. Okay, just as a thought experiment. What if you're not fat because your metabolism is slow? What if your metabolism is slow because you're actually fat? Right? What if you have a specific type of fat that's slowing down your metabolism? Doctors call it sludge fat, and it's specific type of fat that you could burn away that's different from brown fat or white fat or whatever else. Okay, so I don't know if that's true, but that's an interesting idea. Cool. So some of these are not like this. These are not the most insightful ones, but what these do is it's just an exercise for you to start thinking, what if I reverse the typical causation that I see in life? What if there's a hidden cause that actually causes both A and B? What if there's a circular causation? What if there are these hidden leverage points that people can pay attention to, right? And I know this stuff is probably like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, right? And that's fair. I wonder the same thing sometimes. But what's cool is you can come in here to the bots, come up with insight vectors. Anybody play around with this one yet? All right, let's do some experiments. So this is one of our low ticket sales pages. Just gonna put the link in here. Epiphany number one. Ever notice how the best students sometimes get the worst grades than the average ones? That's because they spend so much time perfecting assignment 1, they run out of time for assignments 2 through 5. Marketing skills work the same way. While experts marketers are trapped spending 40 hours trying to crack this, you can deliver 5 in the same time. And then you can do it with AI. Okay, it's interesting. Not the craziest. Here's something bizarre about the online business explosion. There are 28 million business operators, only about 400,000 people who can write professional level marketing. Do the math. That's one marketer for every 70 businesses. That's a pretty good idea right there.
Good.
Super good.
And then I did the plumber thing right after. If your city had one plumber for every 70, that's pretty good.
What would happen? Even mediocre plumbers. Yeah, and a great, like, by the way, this, you know how many ways you could do an ad like this?
Fuck that shit. Yeah.
I'm not a plumber, but this plunger is going to help you make money in the next 30 seconds, right? Imagine that you only had one plumber for every 70 homes. How much demand would there be? Well, guess what? Blank, 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 blank. Okay, so these epiphanies super, super good. These are the type of stuff. This, when you talk about belief shifting, this is belief shifting right here on a silver platter. It's fucking insane. I literally, like, out of everything I do most of the stuff that I show, like almost all of it comes from stuff I do. This is one that I always do. Anytime I write stuff now, I throw this in here to get new ideas. Watch what happens when you order from an Amazon. I should be underselling this so less people use it, but I still feel good about sharing it. but I can't help myself. Watch what happens when you order from Amazon versus a small online store. You think the difference is incremental, right? 2 days versus 14 days. But here's what's strange. Amazon gets 90% of online purchases despite having similar prices and worse customer service. I don't know if that's true, but there's a hidden threshold around 72 hours. Under 3 days, and your brain categorizes something as instant gratification. All right. Okay. Remember learning to ride a bike? I like it. Ever notice how the most successful looking businesses often have the most stressed out owners? Something interesting in here. It's a pretty good one.
I'm not doing an ad with a sewing machine. Fuck you.
We're gonna put Mario in a sackcloth dress, 1950s housewife, and then I'm gonna come home and
That'd be kind of
see.
funny.
Awesome. Okay, so these are insight vectors. Again, just play around with these. They're very, very powerful. There's a structure to making them. It's outside of the scope of this training. I'm sharing a document that's linked inside of here that you can also look at. Okay, that goes a little bit deeper into them, and just use the bot. To be honest, is what I would share. Just use the bot. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Let's give a round of applause for Miss Karen and Daniel in here. They're very, very helpful. Always on top of shit. Cool. All right. And then you have the Insight Vectors bot as well. So let's go. Bringing in the Ash. That's, I don't know. It's pretty horrible, but I just want to say something. So now you have all your concepts, and hopefully you made them better, right? So just to kind of recap for everyone where we're at so far, so you understand. We've just been talking about all the concepts. Now we're going to talk about the ASH part. Okay, the ASH part of this. All right. You can multiply your concepts by different angles, styles, and hooks. Okay. We're going to kind of skip. Trying to figure out where I was going with this. Let's look. This is what I want to do instead. Let's look real quick at some of these angles so you can see. Here are 55 different angles that you can use. Breaking news, viral trends, future warnings, historical patterns, countdowns, before and afters, evolution, expert base, insider whistleblower, crossover, unlikely teacher, enemy admission, ancient indigenous, scandal, challenge dare. Somebody pick a number, 1 through 55. 54, interesting. 2 people said that. What went wrong? All right, let's figure out what went wrong. What's cool is you don't need to do a concept and an angle. You can just sometimes do the angles and it will be fine. I'm going to start a new chat. Mario was a bad influence on the other bots.
And it's like common sense. If the bot doesn't follow instructions, you don't fucking ask Karen how to do it and bother her. You just say, "Why didn't you follow the fucking instructions?" And 90% of the time, it'll just instantly correct.
I have a special version of it, but we're uploading all the bots into it, Randall. So skincare graveyard mystery. When everything stopped working, 3 months after my 52nd birthday, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. Not in a dramatic way, just older, tired, etc. So tons of ones on there. And if we pick a different one, like historical pattern, we're going to put all the bots in the Oracle. And we change it from the client Oracle to just the regular Oracle because it does a lot more than get you clients. Although those who are here on the client Oracle part know that it's pretty sick for that. Something weird happens to women at skin at 52, not age 50, not 55, specifically around 52. I noticed with my mom, then my older sister, now it's happening to me. Okay, interesting. My mom aged 15 years between her 50th and 55th birthday. I remember looking at photos and thinking what happened to her. Interesting. I check everything in my journal, so I know the exact date my skin started falling apart, March 15th. Okay, so some interesting ones. Interesting ones on here, but just the raw angles that are on here as well. Okay, and again, you can multiply the angles times the concepts, and you can make them a lot stronger. So, for example, if I wanted to be like, let me just pick a random whatever. Oh, I have to do it from here. Let me pick a missing piece angle and content types they consume. I sent before and after photos to my skin to 3 different dermatologists. All 3 said the same thing. What procedure did you have done? No celebrity skincare routines everyone obsesses over. I used to watch those videos religiously. My skin looked exactly the same because they're all lying by admission. Not about the products they use, those are real, but about the one thing they do first that makes all those expensive products actually work. That's a pretty good ad right there. Okay, so hopefully you can see what we're up to. Right now, I'm going to show you one last one. This was made also by Mr. Max Voorhees, so you have him to either blame or think. This one's kind of fun, so let me pull it up. All right, this is what we call the ad lottery. So all you do is you come in here, type ready. I'm sitting on 190 concepts, 55 angles, and 20 styles, just begging to create chaos. Right? You put in all the stuff. I'm going to try it with just a link and see what he does with this. Juicy Mario and Luke. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Here's the thing, friend. I need you to do the translating for me. I can't actually access.
I think it's something on that page, the way that it doesn't show the like full page popping. I think it blocks the HTML shit from reading all the.
Interesting.
That
All right,
happened
so
to me.
let me put something else in here. All I'm going to do is put in a build a buyer and an offer brief. And it tells you what you need to put. And all it's going to do is randomly just start to assign different concepts and angles and styles and all this other stuff. Concepts, angles, styles, hooks, double combo. Light cigarette, metaphorically.
So Luke, where is it pulling the concepts from? From the work that you've given it access to a doc, or it's just
From
the
Magic.
Build-A-Buyer?
It's called Magic.
Okay.
Magic moments. Yeah, just put in the information, it will pull it. So add concept 1. It's going to tell us here's an ugly ad. I've been lying to my clients, whatever. All right, interesting. I don't know if you could pull it off in an ugly ad, but this is the lottery, right? You're going to get some winners and a bunch of losers. On the street testimonial, everything you know about topic is wrong. Balance your hormones naturally. Cool. So what would this look like? Let's see. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. It's a little bit weird. Hold on. So this is for a personal development one. So this is card declining at a business dinner, a public humiliation moment, mixed with a wisdom from an unexpected source angle, homeless man, and a 2-person conversation podcast clip. So let's see what this looks like if we were to combine this, a podcast clip format about a homeless man and a buying trigger. Let's see what happens. Putting in my copy blocks and builder buyer. That's all I'm doing. The homeless prophet. So wait, your card got declined at a business dinner in front of 3 potential clients. The waiter came back twice. That's brutal. I'm sitting there making excuses about fraud alerts, but we all know I was broke, grossing 6 figures, and I couldn't even cover a $200 dinner. That's why I kept asking myself. Then I met Jerome, this homeless guy outside my office. He asked me for change one morning. One day I snapped and I said, man, I'm as broke as you are. And he said something to change my everything. What'd he say? He looked at me and said, no, you're not. You got money coming in. You just don't know how to keep it. Right? So this guy living under a bridge just diagnosed my entire financial life in one sentence. I asked him what he meant. He said, rich people don't spend what comes in. They spend what's left after they put themselves first. You do it backwards. From a homeless guy. I know, but he was right. I was waiting until the end of the month to save. There's never anything left. So what'd you do? Started paying myself first. 20% off the top before rent, etc. I don't know why it's doing... I might have put something in a little bit wrong, but it's pretty cool. Right? You said you had a moment that changed everything. Yeah, card declined at a steakhouse. So the only thing I would probably add to here is I want my hooks to be a little stronger. Yeah. So then I just come in here and I'm just like, give me better hooks. Also for the Genesis people, you're going to get access to something called the Hook on Top bot. Actually, everyone in here has access to the Hook on Top bot, which was made by another AI growth engineer, bot builder, Luke Heffernan, which is pretty good. We'll talk about some of that stuff in a little bit, but I want to shout him out. A homeless man taught me more about money in 5 minutes than my CPA did in 5 years. Homeless man predicted I'd be broke. That's kind of interesting. Right. Some of these are okay, but we can work with them. All right. Now, again, below, it would definitely work for sure. Yeah, it would definitely work. And it's all how you pull it off. And honestly, we live in an age where absurdity lives. So I feel like I want things to be super absurd. And you can always find a way to build back believability. All right. Cool. So do you guys feel like convinced and covered that you know how to generate lots of ideas with angles, with styles, with whatever? You're going to have bots to do this. Like you should be able to come up with tons and tons and tons of different stuff. So what I want you to do is try to think of 30 different ideas. Most of these are going to be static ads. Okay. So like it's going to be like this breakdown. Around 20 different static ads. These are going to be meme-based ads, ugly ads, regular hero shot ads. We're going to show you how to do all of this stuff tomorrow. So just kind of think about the rough concepts. Try to focus on UGC ads, talking head ads, as well as AI ads, right? So these are video ads. Roughly about 10 different video ads and 20 different statics, maybe more statics and a few different and less videos because videos are harder. But those are what we're going to try to work on tomorrow and give you all the tools to try to do it. And then over the weekend, we can start to knock those things out. Okay. But the main problem you have now is we got to figure out probabilistic curation. Okay. So I'm going to try to run through some of this stuff because it's going to be pretty good. And it's what I call the importance of being autistic. Okay. They call me the pattern noticer on account of all the patterns I notice. You need to be pattern maxing. You have to be, right? This is the first step for probabilistic curation. I already told you the winning ads that work, but in order for you to take the next step further and be able to 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 distinguish between these, you're going to have to know this. So what you want to do is, first thing, the best source of information are what ads are working in the ad account right now. That's the highest signal information. The second is what is winning externally, both for your competitor as well as additional like markets. Number 3 is what's trending organically. Obviously, you need to use common sense and filter this. Is it trending because it's just something stupid and viral, or is it trending because there's actually high signal in there that you could turn into an ad? And last is you want to look at data, comments, phrases, questions, research, survey, etc. Those are the high signal things. So you're looking for patterns across there, asking yourself, why? Okay, that's how you figure this stuff out. Okay, and then you can use tools like Cache to help you then, okay? So you're also going to get access to a bot that you put in any transcript, and it will tell you what concept, what angle, what style, and what hook. Okay? Like I said, you're being hella spoiled. You got a whole tagging bot that will do. I'm not even going to show you it, but it works. And just use your intuition for this. By the way, also for spy tools, which many of you people will wonder, I have a little recommendation of the tools that I think. Free tools, cheaper tools, and more expensive tools that I recommend. Okay? It's not super comprehensive. There's many other ones, but those are the ones that I like. Yeah, I like Foreplay as well. Foreplay is great. Cool. Also, maybe you want to see some quick examples. So I'm going to run through very, very quickly. You guys saw this if you were in Genesis over the last month. We did an offer for Plant Juice, which is an organic fertilizer. And so I'm going to show you, like, we were looking for a specific pattern. So what patterns did I see? I saw that all the winning ads, you have access to this after, Paul, this whole doc. All the winning ads were built on insight, and they were built on an insight specifically talking about microbes. This thing gives you 250 microbes, but these other ones only give you 3 different nutrients, right? People seem to be responding to this idea of a bunch of 250 different microbes, and there's insights. At the same time, I saw that there was a trending video on TikTok that was like, why do plants grow better in the bathroom, right? And talking about it's the fact that basically your doo-doo air is helping the plants grow better, and it's not the humidity. Okay. And I was like, oh, these are interesting ideas. Here's high signal that something is trending in organic, and the idea that it connects directly to the insight that's also trending. So what would I do? Let me test an ad that would be around the bathroom. Okay. And this is not the best ad in the world. There's many things I want to fix on the visuals, whatever. This is just a spec to show you how you go from an insight and a pattern to something else. Okay. Kim loves it so much. She started drawing, or he started drawing. I'm going to erase you, Kim. All right. So let's just look real quick. Uh-oh. Kim, don't make me mad. Okay, control yourself.
Why do houseplants grow faster in bathrooms than anywhere else in your home? Most people think it's the humidity, but it's not the moisture in the air that makes these plants explode with growth. It's really about all the invisible microbes floating around from, well, let's just say, your daily business. Think about that next time you leave your toothbrush on the counter. See, these microbes in the air create a living ecosystem that plants absolutely crave. They're the same beneficial bacteria that plants have been depending on for millions of years. Now, here's what most people get completely wrong about growing plants. They only focus on the plant itself, feeding the plant. And of course, who doesn't love our little plant babies? But the best gardeners in the world focus on something entirely different, the soil. Because if the soil is dead, your plants literally choke, starve, and eventually die.
So this is no, the B-roll is a lot. Most of the B-roll and most of the UGC and all the UGC is AI, but it was not like edited by AI. But we're going to show some workarounds on that as well. The thing that I'm going to say is, yeah, we'll see how it converts. I'm going to point out a couple different things around insights. This is what an insight is. Okay, it doesn't even need to be the most insightful; it just needs to feel insightful. Don't focus on the plant; focus on the soil. Right? Humans, we love these like binary things, right? So, yeah, like don't focus on the plant, focus on the soil. The soil is dead, and like I took like choke, starve to death, all those different kinds of things. That's the kind of language that you want. Here's an example of an accommodating a belief. I want to see if you guys catch it.
Most expensive toxic fertilizer is really just overpriced salt. Yes, it can grow your plants if you're okay with the usual plant burning. But you have to ask yourself, if it's burning your plants, what's it doing to your soil? The reality? It turns your soil from a living organism spoon-feeding your plants into dry desert dirt.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in there. Strong metaphors, dry desert dirt versus a living organism. And we're not saying fertilizer doesn't work. We're saying, yes, fertilizer works, but you already know that it can potentially burn your plants. So if it's burning your plants, what do you think it's doing to your soil? It's just salt, right? Basically like killing all your different soil. Here's another quick one that I'll just show real quick. This is a super long ad. Oh yeah.
Behind why bathroom plants explode with growth while your living room plants struggle and fade. Now, I'll be honest, it looks like old dirty water, kind of just like the microbe-dense rivers in the Amazon rainforest.
Okay, so it's a nice little thing. Again, a lot of people were like, oh my God, this looks like dirty water, right? And you're like, yeah, it does. It looks like dirty ass water, just like the micro-rich thing in the Amazon rainforest.
But
right?
that's because the makers wasted no time on fancy blue crystals and pretty packaging, so they could pass those savings directly on to you. What you get instead is...
Cool. So again, will the ad work? No idea. We're testing it, right? Another one real quick for Titanium University. This is a wholesale real estate company. We were asking them questions on the call. I assumed it was like 80%, 90% men. They're like, no, it's around 40%, maybe even more, 40% women buyers, right? And I was like, you have no ads that are specific to women buyers. Let's make a segment, a cross segment, and talk about female buyers in wholesaling, okay? So let's look at an ad like this. This is actually made by Mr. James Mann, who is going to be helping us tomorrow. So you'll hear more about him. Okay. Ignore the compliance. There's some compliance things, but it's a pretty good idea.
Women are closing $15,000 deals while making lunch for their kids, and nobody's talking about it. While most people think you need to quit your job or ignore your kids to build a wholesale business, women are proving that's complete nonsense. They're closing deals that pay for months of groceries, dance lessons, and family vacations, all from their kitchen table. Here's what most women don't realize. The same skills you use to manage a household and coordinate family schedules are the exact skills that make unstoppable wholesalers.
Okay. So pretty interesting. It's just, there's like direct income claims and things like that. So you just want to be mindful of it. And then for the dog leash one, the main thing you'll notice about the market is that there's a guilt complex in the market. Okay. And most of the winning ads feature dogs walking. So let's play into why they don't need to feel guilty and show dogs walking.
Everything you've been taught about dog training is backwards. See, the problem isn't that you're a bad dog owner. The problem is everyone's been teaching you to fight your dog's biology instead of working with it. I discovered this from an Italian canine behaviorist named Cinzia. She's spent 15 years studying why dogs lose their minds in public. Here's what's really happening on your walks. The second your dog steps outside, their brain gets hit with sensory overload. Every sound, smell, and movement creates chaos in their nervous system. When they're overwhelmed like this, they can't process anything you're saying. That's why you're...
I love them little memes. Okay. So again, my whole point on here is just to say, I'm looking for examples and patterns, both organically, vertically, in research and things like that. And then I'm trying to connect it into hypotheses that I can then test. That's the first skill that you need to do. All right. It's a mixture of experience, principles, and pattern recognition, and also the willingness to just be wrong. Because my conviction that any ad I write will win is about 0%. But my conviction that I will eventually get a winner is 100%. You need to internalize this and understand this, especially if you're on the freelancer contractor side. All right. So we're almost there. I'm going to go through. You guys okay so far? Probabilistic curation. Right. We got a little fun stuff, but this is super, super important. It's going to go pretty quick, but it's going to help you a lot. Cool. So probabilistic curation. This is based on 2 very basic concepts and 4 very basic rules. Here's the rules. I didn't even bother to capitalize them. If it's worked in the past, it'll likely work in the future. It can work for different reasons, it being the ad. Untested gaps, right, can find hidden gems, especially if you curate them by principles and data. An untested gap is basically you haven't tested this angle before, so there could be a hidden gem in there. If it's working organically, it can also work for an ad, usually really good. But again, you need to modify that and use common sense. And here's the 2 concepts. You need to understand what is the probability that this ad is going to be successful, right? And what are the untested gaps? If you know those things, you can be really strategic in what you create. This is what I call the probability pyramid. Okay, it's not perfect, but this will give you a nice little thing to focus on. The most likely things to win are swiping a winning competitor ad a winning competitor ad or internal. But basically, if it's already working for you, you can modify it, but you're not going to swipe. You're not going to redo the same idea. So the most probable is swiping a winning competitor ad. The second most probable is swiping a winning ad in another vertical, or what I call a market analog. Some markets are similar to each other, right? The organic plant fertilizer market is probably very similar to like the laundry detergent, organic laundry detergent market. So I would be swiping winning ads in that different market. Okay. Some markets are very similar to each other. So you want to pay attention to that. Probable is a confident hypothesis based on ad data, customer research, etc. So I would put all of these in probable, right? Because they are confident hypotheses based on past ad data, customer research, etc. Number 4 is the less probable, which are just confident internal tests based on cache. This just means I look into my list of concepts and I basically say, great, like here's an idea that's based on here, random idea, let's test it. And it kind of seems like probable. And the last one is just a wild card idea that you thought up while, you know, whatever, taking a walk, getting your steps in. Okay. This is the probability pyramid. That's it. There's another image, but ChatGPT didn't know what a pyramid was, no matter how many times I told it. So that's what you get. Okay, the probability butt plug. That's what you got. All right. And it's the highest stuff is the creative stuff, right? That's what it's the most fun and it has the highest probability of success, right? If you just stay swiping each other, you're going to go like, you know, dog around the tail. You want to be leading the market. So this stuff works, but it's this stuff here, kind of the blue and the probably this middle section, which is where you want to focus a lot of stuff. Okay. So how does this link to the concepts? Because all of this stuff is based on it. So the blue, the purple, and the pink on here should all be based on the cache system, basically. Especially the blue. You would look at like what concepts are working, what angles are working, what styles are working, what hooks are working. Next thing you want to do is I don't know why I zoomed in so much. You want to decide your risk profile. Okay, so here's a basic example of like what a risk profile could look like. Again, use your brain. This is just like I literally threw this into AI and was like, give me something, right? This is just to show you how you would allocate your attention based on how much of my time on my ads are going to be direct swipes, how much of my ads are going to be swipes of other verticals, how much of my ads are going to be internal tests that I do, et cetera, et cetera. Did I squish my window? I don't know. Oh, maybe that's why. Okay. This is also where your buckets of awareness come into play. So let's do a quick thought experiment. Let's say you wanted to test 40 ads per month, all right? Or just whatever, 40 ads. Some people do 500 ads a month. Some people write 40 ads a month for a company, et cetera. Let's just say 40 ads in some time period. How many swipes versus random tested ideas versus internally tested ideas would you want to write? How many are you like, oh, I'm doing a direct swipe versus I'm doing the cache system versus I'm doing this? Which one, what are you going to do? And then how do you factor in the awareness levels that we talked about? Well, let's just say, for example, our market is 40% problem aware, 30% solution aware, 20% product aware, 10% most aware, for example. And let's say that our risk tolerance is about a high medium. So we want to spend 30% of our time swiping competitors, 30% of our time swiping other verticals, 20% whatever. And by the way, this is just to give you confidence if you're a creative strategist so that you know you have a strategy, right? So you're working with a client and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You're like, no, I got a strategy. It's going to give you some guidelines. You know what you're doing and you can adjust your strategy accordingly. I don't know what that meme is. It's the Rizzler where he's I'm so sad that I didn't put that in here. So much so that we're going to find it real quick because I've watched it so many times. Okay, I got to find it later because it's so perfect. That's my new ad is going to be that one. Okay, so you wanted to write 40 ads. Well, you could visualize it like this. Here's how you would visualize it. You have your swipes, your hypothesis, your internal, and your wild card. Right? And then you have your awareness on here. The swipes, you're not going to worry about whether they're problem, solution, whatever. You're just going to swipe it's working, it's working. I don't care if it's I don't care what awareness level it is. Okay? And then based on a hypothesis, internal, wild card, I'm going to clean up those names a little bit more, but they map onto here. Okay, so most probable, more probable, et cetera. They'll map onto those. I think I need to clean it up. Then it will tell you have different options. You can basically do 12 ads that are swipes, 10 that are other vertical swipes, 8 ads that are based on a confident hypothesis that you have, 6 ads that are an internal test just based on random concepts, angles, styles, and hooks. And maybe you do 4 ads that are crazy wildcard ads that you just thought up, right? That seems kind of high, to be honest, but this is a very high risk one, right? Or maybe you do it like this, or maybe you do it like this, right? And as you can probably guess, I'm giving you a bot in here as well. Okay. You know a competitor's ad is working if you see it a lot, or if you have a spy tool that tells you it's giving you signals, a lot of likes, a lot of spend behind it, things like that. So spy tools, or the down and dirty, is you see it a bunch, right? If they're spending money on it, it's probably working. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bot, and all you got to do with the bot is you tell it how many ads you're writing, what your risk tolerance level is, and the market awareness distribution, which you're already going to have from the segments and stuff we showed. And it will tell you, it'll give you 3 different versions of how you could kind of put this together. Again, use common sense. It's impossible for me to do this in a bot to do it, but it's just to give you a structure to think through this, so that now when you're going to write ads for a client and you're trying to figure out where am I going to put my time, my strategy, you at least have a logic that you can answer to. And then you can adjust your strategy if it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. A swipe is a swipe. I'm stealing this stuff. Okay. Again, you can adjust the swipe accordingly. Like, oh, I'm just going to swipe the concept of the angle, use common sense, or you can just swipe the whole thing, which again, that's what most people do. So I'd probably do that. What are the leading indicators for market distribution of sophistication? Sophistication is tricky. I put some stuff in the SOP around it, but sophistication, the way I see it, is like, it's just literally the resistance that people have to changing their beliefs, right? And there's types of sophistications. It's based on what they already know. It's usually dumber than what you think. Yes. It's based on what they already know and are familiar with, right? So if they don't know what copywriting is, I can't say, here's how to be an AI copywriter, for example. So it's based on what you know. It's based on what you've experienced. So you might know about wholesaling, but it's a difference between having tried it versus knowing about it, right? And then the last element is like your emotional baggage with it. If you tried it and failed, I need to talk to you differently and assuage your fears and things like that. Okay. 40 is just an example for this. You could put 100, you could put 2 ads, you could put 1 ad, you could put any ad. Okay. So it'll go from that. And yes, it'll work as micro leads, and you'll have a bot for this as well. Okay. Just use your intuition. Now, I'm done with that part. We're about to transition to something else very, very fun. Our good friend Unhinged Ads.
Oh, shit.
All right. But any quick rapid fire questions just on the last little stuff that we covered on here? And was that helpful to see the probability stuff, the different ads that you have, and put in here what was the most helpful? That would be nice to see. What was the most helpful concept or interesting thing that you saw on here that had you be excited? Everything. I'll take everything. Process. Maps, breaking down the angle and concepts. Cool. Do you guys feel better equipped after today to feel confident in like coming up with lots of ads, choosing the ads that you want to have? Cool. Awesome. Very, very cool. So let me stop sharing. You guys will get all of this stuff on here as well. I know it's a lot, but we like to give a lot.
Cool. You can share this now. Because literally nothing I'm about to show you guys would be worth anything if we didn't go through what we already covered, which is what I want to talk about, by the way. You see people running like these flashy AI unhinged ads, and they can actually be really effective because they're good at grabbing attention. Thing is, you want to be able to leverage the right kind of attention. If you train the algorithm with wrong kinds of traffic, it's probably not going to work too well. And it's going to probably put you down a cycle that you don't want to be on. So let me just preface things by saying that, right? All the strategy, understanding your market, the segments, the angles, the concepts, that all stuff is going to be super important no matter what style of ads you run. But once you have that stuff down and you're looking for creative ways to bring in more attention, lots of attention, which is pretty good because it also feeds the algorithm and gives you lower CPMs and all that kind of stuff, that's when you want to throw some unhinged shit at the wall. I'm going to show you how to leverage wild AI creativity to create the right kind of attention. Because right now, I think skill stacking is more important than at any point in history. Like, I don't think you should get too hung up on mastering like how to physically use the different tools, right? Because every day things like VO and Sora, all that stuff is going to get easier and easier for people to use. What you want to understand are the principles that make those things actually effective. And as people keep pouring more and more money into these AI tools and things get easier and easier, they're going to become more efficient at translating our visions into reality. That's what you really need to focus on. So in a world where it becomes easier and easier to translate your vision into reality, what's going to determine whether or not you win? What do you think? Yeah, your vision. If you have a shitty vision and it becomes easy to translate that, then you're fucked. But if you have a good vision and it becomes easy to translate that, you win because your vision is worth translating. Which means I think those who have the best, clearest, most compelling vision are going to win in the long haul. And I think there's two main areas of people who I see that are about to thrive in this new AI world. The first group are those who understand direct response marketing and copywriting and psychology. Is there anyone on this call who don't understand that right now? If you fall into if you say you're not in this group, then I have to ask, what the hell have you been doing for the last day and a half? Because Luke literally gave you guys, like, you should all be at least top 10 percentile just by implementing the stuff that he talked about in this workshop right now from here. But the next group that's going to thrive is this second group, the actual visionaries who understand how to portray emotion in the non-written formats. I'm talking about artists, right? Not copywriters who think they're creative. I'm talking about filmmakers, art directors, music composers, the actual creative talents behind Hollywood. Because as AI capability gets stronger and stronger, it's going to be easier and faster for these artists to create high-level productions at lower budgets. And right now, like, once Nano Banana came out, I think it becomes more and more possible to do this. Once they cracked the whole concept of character consistency, it opened up a whole new world to floodgates of creativity. And now you have people building like full-blown AI short films in a matter of days. I put some in this doc. You can check it out on your own time. But what's really important is that these creatives who can make really good films are moving into the ad world and building out high-quality production ads for companies, using it to create like commercials and ads and that kind of stuff. And there's one guy named PJ Ace who has an entire agency that's basically a mini AI ad production company for brands, and they're doing some pretty cool shit by following something that I'm calling unhinged ads. So I suggest you sign up for his newsletter because there's a lot of good stuff that he shares. But let me just show you guys an idea of one of the ads he ran. Because if you want to talk about unhinged, here's a project that he put together for a client, and you'll see like it doesn't really get much more unhinged than this. So just let me know if you can hear my sound when I play it, but you should be able to.
I got paid $900 for uploading my camera roll. I made $420 uploading my homework.
I paid my car payment with money from my data. Upload your data and get paid.
I got paid $320 for foot pictures.
I made $800 for all my Screamo videos.
Upload your data. Make money.
AI companies are paying a fuck ton of money for training data.
So upload your content and make it rain, baby.
It's pretty fucking insane, right? Pretty insane. The thing is, he had like a whole team building that stuff out, making sure that every scene was perfect. He had editors, designers, like real Hollywood production, quality people using AI tools to make that. So they're doing it at a super high level. And while it is like obviously really fun to watch, it might be a little bit of overkill for what most of us want to do, which is selling through classic direct response. And I don't know, personally, you might have different opinions, right? If you guys are perfectionists who want every scene to be nailed Hollywood production, you can go put the time in to test those kind of ads and probably spend a lot of time doing it. But personally, I don't think it makes sense to take all that time to put together truly fleshed out full-scale film ads, which still require hours of generating and editing. What we want to do, in my opinion, is striking the balance between quality and capability for rapid creative testing. So if I had to place a bet, I talked about this in the emails, on the one type of ad that I expect to become the most dominant over the next 6 to 12 months, I'm calling these unhinged AI hybrid ads, which means you use wild, high sensory AI openings to seize attention and establish your hook. And then after you grab attention in those first 8 seconds or so, then you transition into more classic direct response, talking head or B-roll voiceover ads where you can do like all the fundamental copywriting stuff, like walking through the rest of your value proposition. Unhinged means wild and crazy and like super unexpected shit that people would probably not see before. Like a 90-year-old grandma riding an alpaca, right? Like super crazy. But if you do this way, if you borrow the unhinged hooks and then use the fundamental direct response stuff to bridge the gap after the attention, then you get the best of both worlds. You get the novelty and the pattern interrupt of AI filmmaking, but while minimizing the risk of getting too artsy and diluting your actual message. So how do we actually generate these unhinged AI openings, though, without having to be some Hollywood production genius and without having to spend like weeks with full production teams putting this shit together? How do you create ads that are effective and attention grabbing, but still on brand and targeted to your prospects and avatar? Well, I, as someone who's super lazy and knows nothing about film production, decided to look at that ad that was really good and spend a few hours going back and forth with AI, reverse engineering the kind of thinking that went into creating that ad. And I want to share that analysis with you guys so that literally by the end of this call today, you can go take any of the ad concepts that Luke already walked you through and showed you how to create, and then just slap on a VO or Sora style unhinged ad opening to that, which also gives you infinite variations of grabbing people's attention. So I call this the unhinged ad cinematic hook blueprint. And basically I ran the original ad that we just saw through a few different LLMs, and I broke down the components into modular elements for recreating these cinematic openings. Well, Adam, I'm glad you asked that question because there is a part that I don't see anyone else talking about that it's key to making it work, but I'll get into that. So first, let me explain the elements, okay? When we do the structural and anatomy of the prompt, to create the cinematic hook blueprint, what you need, number one, is your subject or character engine. In this case, it was a 90-year-old grandma, right? Well, how do you classify the 90-year-old grandma? That company, by the way, was AI Data, an AI data company that mostly works with college students. So their target audience was college students who they want to upload shit to get paid extra cash. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys a little inside baseball on their market. So who would be an unexpected archetype in that market? If it's mostly 18 to 25-year-old college kids, you throw a 90-year-old grandma in, and now you have some natural pattern interrupt, right? So the formula for this is not just a grandma, it's unexpected demographic plus extreme emotion plus unusual action. That's how you create the unhinged formula. And examples of this can be a priest doing donuts in a monster truck, or a toddler CEO firing all his teddy bear employees, right? Or having a raccoon at like an ad agency writing $1 million ads, or a yoga instructor robbing a vending machine for kombucha. See how all this shit is like, there's infinite variations of this, but it's all subverting what people would normally expect to see. It's taking the old concept, the VSL concept of pattern interrupt, and cranking it from like John Benson Goldfish, which is probably like a 5 out of 10, to a legitimate like 40 out of 10, way more unhinged than people are even used to seeing. Does that make sense to you guys so far? Let me know. All right, cool. So another thing you guys would want to do, once you get the character engine set up, is the setting engine. Where are we going to actually have this unhinged ad taking place? What are some common scenes that we can use for this? Well, here they used a suburban residential neighborhood at night. Why did they do that? Because they're targeting a bunch of college kids. College kids live in college towns, which are usually in some sort of suburban residential neighborhood. So you take a mundane environment and then you add crazy cinematic mood and lighting here. For example, like in a dimly lit Denny's parking lot at 3 a.m. People who've been to college, stayed up all night drinking, a lot of times you end up at like a Denny's, right? So the AI said, like, you want the mundane environment. As I was going through this, personally, I think mundane is not enough of a description. You also want to set up environments that carry resonance with your target market, right? So if it's targeting college kids, Denny's parking lot made sense. Frat houses made sense. Suburban streets made sense. Where basically what we want to do is create highly dramatized versions of familiar scenarios. You guys still with me so far, right? That's the second element. The third element is the catalyst, the action engine. You don't just want to have subjects and environments. You want them to be, if you want unhinged ads, you have to have them doing something that's pretty absurd, out of the normal realms of expectation, which means the formula for that is going to be an incongruent vehicle or action plus an intensity modifier. How do you take something that's normal and accepted and crank up the intensity on that? For example, typing furiously on a laptop strapped to a drone, right? Or speed walking through a hurricane holding a blender. It's just wild. It grabs attention. It like fries circuits in your brain. It gets you to be like, what the fuck is this? I need to know a little bit about this, right? But then you're not just watching crazy shit for the sake of it. At the end of the day, you still need it to be relevant to your target market and brought back to what you actually want to sell, right? So which means your ads, your unhinged ads, still need some sort of emotional or verbal payload. Example, in this ad, you had a line similar to, I got paid $400 for uploading pictures of my feet. Obviously, that's a super fucking exaggerated version of what people would normally get paid for, but it's still establishing the point. This site is here to pay you money for things that you upload to it. So as unhinged and crazy and completely made up as it looked on the surface, that line was actually relevant for what they were selling, which means you need to take some outrageous confession and brag and directly link it to your ad's core benefit. You want to tie the absurd visual world to a commercial hook that's relevant to your offer. So even if this shit is looking chaotic on the surface, it's not random chaos, it's thematic chaos. And inside Genesis, I'm going to do a whole talk on this based on some observations we're seeing in our own funnels and other ads, because I really think that curiosity in ads falls flat when it's there for curiosity only sake. And if it's disconnected from the problem you're trying to solve or the outcome your prospects are hoping to achieve. You want to create this whole thematic chaos where you're creating these crazy looking worlds, but where all the information inside those worlds are directly relevant to solving your prospect's pain or delivering an outcome they all want. Does that make sense? And thematic chaos is the core principle of making that, actually pulling that off. So also what you'd want to make really good ads is you're going to want to throw in a supporting cast. You probably don't just want one character in there because that's going to be more boring than if you had multiple characters. So if a grandma, a 90-year-old grandma in a bikini riding an alpaca through a street at night is not unhinged enough for you, how do you make it even crazier? Well, you also throw in two college girls also wearing bikinis, right? And these are echo characters that enforce the tone or escalate the madness. And the last thing you guys are going to want is to understand camera language. Cinematic, handhold, close-up, shaky camera shot, right? It's the filmmaker's language that can portray ideas and capture the tone that you want to capture, even if you're not the best in the world at knowing what that should look like. And the formula is going to be camera type, shot type, focus style, lighting, atmosphere, which allows these ads to give precision, texture, and visual authority. And then the last layer of creating these unhinged openings are going to be sensory layers. What other senses can we stimulate within the ad itself? Usually it's going to be some sort of like weird flashing lights or sound cues or movement cues. A bunch of shit that's just going on literally with the only purpose is to be grabbing your attention. A bunch of movement, sights, sounds, lights. So it's sound cues, lighting cues, and movement cues. So I'm going through this fast, but it's pretty simple enough that I don't feel like we need to waste that much time on it. The point is that there's basically 6 engines that need to be working together to generate these kind of openings. And that's your character engine, right? The archetype, the bald monk in a Tesla Cybertruck. You got your scene engine, the midnight gas station lit by flickering neon. You got your catalyst engine, the absurd action, right? Holding a flamethrower full of confetti. You got the emotional payload, which is like an exaggerated version of the promise. You got your camera engine, which is describing what's actually happening. And then you got your atmosphere engine, right? What is going on around the actual core action that's making shit feel more chaotic. Okay. So now we have a system for generating these unhinged cinematic hooks. But like I said, if we're creating these hybrid ads, we're not doing full-blown cinematic ads. We're not going to worry about making 1 minute to 3 minute full cinematic productions. What we want to do is grab attention, get people interested, and then pull them into our more traditional direct response workhorse ads. People in here, I think it was Adam, he asked, well, how the fuck do you actually convert this attention into your ad in the middle of your ad? People are going to be thinking you lose your mind, right? Well, the way you do that is by using specific transition lines that we call believability bridges. If we created this whole fucking absurd scene of absurdity, what we need to do before we get people ready and willing and eager to listen to our offer is bring them back down into reality, the realm of reality. You start all the way up here in the absurdity, and then you bring them back down right to the edge of disbelief. You want them to still be excited about what's happening, your promise, your pain point, but you don't want them immediately dismissing it. And if you guys have been on any of our previous trainings before, what concept does this kind of sound similar to? Where you want people hovering right on the edge of disbelief. Does anybody know? Ooh. Bilal's been paying attention. Epiphany. The epiphany threshold. That's where you want them. Exactly. So to make this work, right, what we want to do is insert some sort of line called believability bridges. And it's going to, what the purpose is to bring them back down into the realm of belief so it becomes relevant to our offers. You don't want random chaos. You need a thematic tie to your ad's messaging. So after the cinematic opener, the bot should automatically generate a transition line that bridges back to your sales message. And there's different ways to do this, right? And these are not the best examples in the world, which is why I'm not giving you guys the bot today, but at least you can see how, like, an example of what this would look like. So if you're starting with full on money absurdity, $400 for feet picks, you can transition with, and while that's a joke, the money's real. Here's how average people are cashing in by selling their data to Cled.ai, right? You guys see how that's working? Does that make sense, like how that would work? And also how that bridge would give you the permission to transition into a regular ad? Or I made $2,000 teaching ChatGPT how to flirt, right? Well, I know that sounds insane, right? But it's exactly what this program allows you to do ethically. Or what about this? Like, this spreadsheet made me rich. Well, what you need to do is take the absurdity and then bridge the belief back to where other people can normally do it. And what I like about this is by having this tie down, it gives us infinite freedom to use any idea we want in our hook. So, you know, Luke gave you like that probabilistic butt plug. I don't know why that's the only one I can remember, but it was like, you want to diversify the amount of ads that you use. Put a couple in each category, right? Well, when you want to really swing for the fences, you want to test some extremely out of the box, unhinged ads like this too, because those are great at capturing attention. But if you also, if you tie those hooks with the core messages that you know work, even your crazy wild card unhinged ads will still have higher probability of converting. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So like, we want to give ourselves the best possible chance of swinging for the fences and hitting a grand slam, but also increasing our probability of hitting that grand slam. I don't want Ron Javier standing at the plate trying to swing against a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I want Shohei Ohtani at the fucking plate, okay? So we want, like, to get the best of both worlds. Sorry, Ron, I'm sure you're good at baseball, but whatever. And we don't always have to rely on the absurd or the unhinged either. Because what's good about this framework is it grants us infinite cinematic creative expression. So as you understand your market and the media that they kind of that they are used to consuming, you can literally do familiar cinematic style openings. If you have a list of moms who watch certain movies, why don't you put some of those movie openings and recreate that in your ads and then tie it to your offer? And there's different, you can adjust the style for all this shit, right? You can use unhinged viral chaos, and you will adjust the camera style that follows that. Or you can use some cinematic prestige ads, like Apple style storytelling. If you're working in like high ticket, high prestige markets, You can use surreal, dreamlike, fucking Requiem for a Dream, like tripping on acid style ads to make shit really like recognize the absurdity and let people understand that like you're literally are showing exaggerated versions. You could use comedy, satire, AI style ads, which we know works really well with like Harmon Brothers and stuff like that, right? You can do like Severance, dark comedy, all that kind of stuff. And what you want to do, so how do you actually do this shit though? Because I don't know, I'm not a fucking cinematic master, right? I just write a bunch of words and I basically yell at people and then they buy from me, is how my life works. But what I did was reverse engineer this prompt that guy that I shared with you guys, PJ Ace, who the genius behind that unhinged grandma ad that we just watched, he was gracious enough to share this prompt with a bunch of stylistic points of how he was able to create that ad. And what I did was just reverse engineer the fuck out of it. I'm not taking credit for this prompt. It's his prompt. Unlike everyone else who just steals our prompts, we actually give credit when it's due. I know it's a fucking interesting, unique concept, but we do it. But what I wanted to do was by just modeling this prompt, right? I put in a little information about my offer and my market, and I told it to create some unhinged ad ideas for our offer. I said, just create some cinematic opening ideas for our low ticket product, AI marketing services Hyperdrive. I need it to be hyper cinematic, absurdly detailed, emotionally explosive, yet secretly tethered to our offer's core idea, escape 9 to 5, get paid through AI marketing. So this was my fucking brilliant prompt that I added to this guy's already brilliant prompt, right? And the reason I had to do this is because our fancy sales page has coding on it that doesn't let the AI read it, which kind of fucks us, but we will change that. So I wasn't even able to get it to read my full sales page. All I was able to get it to do is just understand my core idea. And here are the ideas they came up with. Laptop exorcism. Handheld camera trembles in a dimly lit apartment at 3:07. The walls glow red from dozens of open browser tabs projected onto the ceiling. A disheveled office worker in pajama pants clutches a Bible in one hand and a MacBook in the other. The laptop fan screams like a jet engine. Demon be gone, or write me one more client email. I'm basically showing how it's like, this shit is going to do all the work for you, basically, right? He drops the Bible, falls to his knees, whispering, holy automation. If I'm showing a demon in a laptop engine writing $1 million ads, and I want to sell people on how easy it is to write a lot of ads that companies will pay you for, how hard of a transition do you think that's going to be? Not that hard, right? We start with the absurd and we bring it back down to reality. But the absurdity is like, this is so fucking easy that this demon is going to write all the ads for you. And then the reality is, yeah, AI is going to help you write ads that companies are willing to pay for, and it's going to do 90% of the work. If you guys are marketers, that shouldn't be a weird gap that's like you're uncomfortable to fulfill. All success lives within that gap between the absurdity and the truth. And then it automatically wrote all this shit for me, right? Suggested stylistic shots. There's another one, Office Breakout, where a camera sprints behind a 30-something-year-old cubicle worker freaking out because it wrote a whole entire ad campaign for me. And it's doing that stuff. What about the suburban side hustler? A suburban dad in socks and Crocs sitting in a lawn chair surrounded by kids' inflatable toys. He's holding a microphone attached to a blender filled with iced coffee. As the handheld camera closes in, he slams the laptop shut and starts screaming, I just made $2,000 writing Facebook ads for a dog groomer. His neighbor freezes mid-sprinkler, stunned. The camera shakes as the sprinkler mist catches the sunlight. Rainbow lenses flares, hits his ecstatic face, and it has all the styles here, right? It's pretty cool. It's funny, grabs attention. Not that crazy from my, not that crazy of a leap from what my offer would actually be. We have factory rebirths, right? The robots are working for us now. People celebrating while the robots write all their winning ads. We have the astral sales call, where it's a slow motion shot of a woman floating weightlessly in a dark void filled with glowing smartphones orbiting her like satellites. Each phone flashes with messages. Payment received. New client booked. She whispers in disbelief, I'm working in my sleep. While this shit is all making her like crazy money from ads. You think that's hard for me to bridge the gap on this? It's not. It's pretty easy. And it, like I said, it generated this shit with a vague understanding of my offer because it didn't have access to the sales link. So then I did this super fucking detailed prompt that I'm going to share with you guys, which is basically common sense. Give me 5 more ideas. I want it more closely tethered. It's not just vague AI. It's specifically getting paid by businesses to create ads, email, social posts with AI. So there's some Mad Men angles you can tap into. There's accidental advertising genius you can tap into. You can have animals doing it to get rich while their friends are still doing the survival grunt work, right? And it printed out these ideas for me. The Raccoon Ad Agency. 3 raccoons sit in a stolen office chair around the glowing laptop. One wears a crooked tie. Another taps furiously on the keyboard. Ad campaign improved. $2,800 payment sent. The lead raccoon throws a Cheeto in the air and catches it in his mouth. We're outselling the humans. Soda cans crash. The laptop slides into a pizza box. They scatter. Camera still rolling as one drags the laptop under a fence like stolen treasure. Or the janitor of Madison Avenue, where a 60-year-old janitor mops the hallway, looks at a computer with ChatGPT loaded on it, pushes a button, types, write an ad that makes people cry, and this ends up being a winning ad that lands them a $10,000 client before breakfast. Everybody celebrates him the next day, the agency boss. What about the dog who started an agency? Cut to the dog leaping from his chair, tail wagging violently as money rains from a printer. What about the coffee shop copywriter, right? Write a Facebook ad that makes people buy coffee just by smelling this place. And she's inside the coffee shop, writes the ad for the coffee shop, launches it, people start buying coffee. That was me, and I charged $1,500 per post now. Cappuccino foam splatters across the lens as applause breaks out. Do you guys see how these are all viable ideas that you can generate infinite amounts of? Farmer's creative department. What about this? Wide drone shot over a quiet farm. A cow lazily chews grass beside an old barn converted into an office. Cut to a handheld close-up. The farmer's rooster pecks a laptop key. The screen reads, local feed store, new ad approved. The farmer burst out laughing, talking to the rooster. Damn it, Buster, that's your 3rd client this week. The rooster crows proudly while the farmer loads dollar bills into a mason jar labeled AI Agency Profits. You think that is fucking hard to bridge the gap to my offer? It's not. These 5 are all directly tethered to my product's DNA, right? People and animals getting paid to create ads, emails, and posts using AI. The vibe is Mad Men meets madness. Chaos, comedy, and capitalism. And each shot is 8 seconds of viral story bait that feeds back to your promise. Launch an AI marketing services business in 72 hours. Okay, so how do you bridge that though? Well, I also, just using the prompt, had it write some example believability bridge lines for me. So for example, for the Raccoon Ad Agency, and I'll say, and that's basically what's happening right now. Okay, maybe not with raccoons, but everyday people are getting paid thousands of dollars by real businesses to make ads and emails using AI tools. And we show you exactly how to launch yours in 72 hours inside our new workshop called the AI Marketing Services Hyperdrive. Do you guys see how that works together? If they get to this point, are they still lost in the world of absurdity? Or did I bring them back successfully to reality to where they're interested in my product? What would you guys think? Is that a viable ad? I think it is, but I'm obviously biased. But like, there's no reason why this would not work, right? What about this one? The guy closes the $10,000 client. That's not a movie scene. It just happens when you finally learn how to sell AI-powered ad and email creation to small businesses. You don't need an office, a boss, or a team. Just a system we teach you inside AI Marketing Services Hyperdrive. Or what about the dog who started the agency? If a golden retriever can get paid to write Facebook ads with AI, then you can too. We'll walk you step by step through starting your own AI marketing services business in under 72 hours, even if you never sold anything online before. Or what about the coffee shop copywriter? That's what happens when you stop consuming ads and start creating them. With AI doing 90% of the work, you can charge real businesses $1K to $10K per project. And our AI Marketing Services Hyperdrive workshop shows you how. What about the farmer's creative department? Crazy part, that's not far from reality. Local businesses everywhere are desperate for fresh ads and social posts, and AI can make them in minutes. We'll show you how to get paid to deliver these simple marketing assets inside AI Marketing Services Hyperdrive. You can literally attach this kind of shit to any ad. And once you bridge the gap, you're free to do whatever you want. You can go straight up talking head or B-roll or whatever else you want just to hit the other key points that you would want in a normal direct response ad. Or you could just run this shit as the ad itself. Run the hook and the believability bridge and just go short and let them get max click-throughs. There's infinite options. But once you establish this, you're free to do whatever you want. Once you bring them back from absurdity into reality, they're yours. You can do what you want with it. And again, the bot I give you guys tomorrow will help with setting this all up. It will make you more effective than 99% of people who are fucking around with AI ads. Not just because of the fact that we're showing you how to generate infinite absurd ideas, but it's because the bot is also constructing boundaries for you. It's built on the principle of thematic chaos. It makes sure your ads stay both relevant, both consciously and subconsciously, to your prospects, no matter how wild these ads look. That's why you got people out here just slapping Bigfoots on shit that doesn't make any sense with their offer, right? But the reason why Luke spent a day and a half showing you all the real concepts and strategies and techniques you would use to make sure your ads are relevant to your market, once you have that foundation, then you can slap the absurdity around it. You can put, like, you make sure your fucking nutrients are all hit, right? You got your broccoli in there. You got your magnesium. You got all your shit. You got your steak. Once you have all that, then you can cover code it in fucking delicious chocolate. And it's not really going to fuck you up that bad, right? Nutrient-rich ads with chocolate around it, still fucking pretty good and more appetizing to people. But you need that shit there. Just chocolate alone is not going to sell people. And to be clear, I am not an expert at any of this shit. I'm probably not going to be making any films anytime soon yet, unless AI makes it easier. In fact, I actually have a disability that prevents me from visualizing things. Functional aphantasia. Is that a real thing? I don't know. I looked it up and it said it's real. I was never diagnosed, but I literally cannot visualize images in my head while I'm awake, which is why I'm terrible at drawing things, because I can't see them in my head. If you tell me to draw a fucking chicken, I cannot picture the chicken, so I won't be able to write the chicken for you. I won't be able to recreate the chicken. Yeah, it's kind of retarded. So currently, I would rate my visual persuasion skills as a 1.5 out of 10 if I was literally just looking at like that. But because this is the new frontier, I'm going to try to get to a 7 out of 10 by the end of this year. And time's running out. So over the next 2 months, I'm going to spend a lot of time tinkering with different ad theories, both with the copy and the persuasive structure and the visuals, the speechless persuasion. I'm going to be testing some wild shit within real funnels that we have or that we're partnered in using the exact system we've shared with you on this workshop, but obviously adjusted and further developed based on real-time response from the market. And basically, truthfully, right now is the most I've personally been invested in ad creation in years. Usually I'm known for writing like the higher leverage stuff, right? The VSLs, the stuff that people pay big money for. I haven't really focused on writing that many ads in probably about a year and a half before, when we were running the agency with Stefan, where I was literally beating people's controls every single week for the clients that we had. We were getting messages every single week about how I was beating their ads. So this is the most I've been invested personally in ad creation, even before, like going back past the agency, back to my days writing a bunch of ads as the go-to copywriter at VShred. This is my real, like the first time I could say since then that I'm really diving into making ads that crush. Except I'm way more excited this time because when I was at VShred, I didn't have AI back then, and I didn't have Luke back then to actually help me codify what's working. I just fucking do this shit for a long time. I have like a bunch of crazy intuitive ideas. I test shit, I make it work. Then I just like, all right, yeah, Luke, this worked. This is what I was thinking. How the fuck do we formalize this stuff? And he does all the crazy nerd magic shit behind the scenes. I didn't have that. And that's not like what I'm good at doing. So like we actually have something unique now that I did not have when I was already writing a bunch of winning ad controls here. So not to get into some big gross pitch about this, but if this is what I'm going to personally be focused on and what Luke's going to be focused on over the next couple months, and you guys are seeing this system, which is like the starting phase of all the madness we're creating, then I personally think if you're enjoying this workshop, you really should be getting your asses inside Genesis. That's my insight vector for you guys. If you like the workshop, and this is level 1, you should be inside Genesis where we're going to take shit to level 10. You can agree, disagree. I don't care. But that's what I genuinely believe, because that's where we're going to go way deeper into ads and creative strategy and making sense out of all the shit we find as we plus our 350 plus members actually implement this system and all the modifications and all the development and all the crazy unhinged shit that's not even a bot right now, but will be a bot tomorrow, and where we're going to take things from here. Like, if you guys want to go deeper, you go into the place where we're literally going deeper on a weekly basis. And like, the amount of data that we have access to is literally top 0.1%. I don't know. Like, there might be some bigger masterminds than us, but I don't know any bigger masterminds that strike the balance of both like size and quality of the people in it who are dedicated to direct response, and also quantity of having 350 plus top copywriters, media buyers, direct response companies all together in one group who actually trust us enough to test our shit. So Genesis is literally one of the biggest masterminds out there among people who are strictly dedicated to direct response, which gives us a crazy fucking advantage from a strategy standpoint, because we get to find out what works best in pretty much every single market, and then we're able to refine from there. And creative strategy is a major focus for us right now, right? Mastering ads and advertorials and VSLs and other conversion structures that are working on cold traffic right now, which is why we didn't just start this workshop off by giving you the bots. A lot of people in here talked about, oh, Luke is opening up the floodgates for us. This is way beyond ads. Well, that wasn't by accident. That's the way we do things, because we don't think just granularly like that, where it's like, oh, this works just for ads. This works for just emails. We want to give you guys the concepts of good marketing that works across the board, so that if you have to write something new or different, and other conversion structures. We teach you guys the foundations first because we want to equip you with the mental tools to get good at this shit. Not just ads, but marketing in general, right? Beyond ads. The concepts carry over. And when you master them, you're deadly. That's why we have so many people crushing it. And I'm literally not exaggerating or trying to like create this crazy setup when I'm telling you guys. I truly, genuinely believe that the majority of the highest performing creative strategists who emerge over the next 12 months will come from Genesis. And I genuinely believe that with you. Like, I genuinely believe that 100%. Because people who are willing to trust us and test these fucking concepts are going to get insane wins. Most people are still operating in the Stone Age. And we are never happy with anything we do. You guys love this workshop. As soon as we finish it, we're going to talk about, fuck, this thing sucked. We need to make it 10 times better. And like, that's what happens every time. Luke is never fucking satisfied. I have to tell him, like, oh, bro, you did a really good job on that workshop. People love it. He's like, nah, fuck that. That was fucking absolute trash. And like, that's what makes us good, though. And the people that are plugged in with us are going to be riding that as well. That's the only way we know how to think. We are not physically capable of being happy. We always fucking hate everything we do. So for those of you guys who are interested in riding with us and going as deep as possible and learning creative strategy and ads and direct response and all that stuff, I'm going to give you the chance to join Genesis for the next year at a discount. 30% off discount, join for the year. The lowest price you'll ever see us offering that. That's my big pitch for it. I'm not even going to, like, I literally just fucking wrote this morning, 10 minutes before this call, because I didn't even know if I was going to pitch it. But since people asked yesterday, how do you actually get into Genesis? I figured I would at least drop a link for people who want to get into Genesis. And yes, there's also a monthly option on there for people that are not committed to joining for the year. But I really think that if you guys want to become world-class creative strategists and you want to work with us to help you get there, you should commit to joining for the year. And I promise you guys will get an insane ROI on that. And if I can be fully transparent with you all, some of you may be thinking like, yeah, these guys are fucking awesome. They're teaching us good shit. The program's good. But maybe now is not the right time, right? Maybe I'm not ready to join right now. Maybe I'll wait a couple months, then I'll come in for the year. Maybe I'll just figure stuff out on my own and then join next year. And like in an ideal world, you guys would maybe have that option. But I can't give you guys that option, unfortunately. And Luke doesn't even know that I'm fucking talking about it. I'm definitely not supposed to talk about this. But if I can be fully transparent with you all, This is literally not something that you want to come back to 6 months down the line and reconsider. Because the opportunity to join Genesis for a year at a discounted rate, or even join Genesis at all, might not exist in 6 months. I swear to God, I'm telling you guys the honest truth about this. Because while I'm fully committed to running Genesis for the next full year and giving it my all, running this program is literally not how Luke and I make most of our money, for sure. And we have a lot of people trying to work with us on way bigger projects with much higher upside. We literally had a big conversation about this on Monday. Like, there's massive opportunity cost for turning down all these projects that get thrown at us. And I'm talking about legitimate 9-figure projects. I literally had somebody furiously texting me on Tuesday. He wants me to literally drop everything else I'm doing, come on board as a creative strategist for one of his companies that's already doing 8 figures. And he showed me a proposal for one of his other companies that's literally under contract right now for getting sold somewhere between $95 and $115 million. Swear to God. And I keep saying no to those things. But like, how long can I say no to those things? So 2026 might actually be the last year that we actually keep Genesis running. Like I said, we're committed. 2026, making it work. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm going to run the program for 2026. But that's the only last year that I'm committing to right now. And when we move on to bigger opportunities, when we stop saying no to shit that's actually going to make us fucking rich, like any logical person would have done 2 years ago, we will likely pull some people from Genesis into these bigger ventures with us. If you get good and know your shit. This is not a fucking charity, okay? I'm not going to bring you with us if you're not good. But if you join Genesis and you come to the calls and you implement this stuff and you prove that you're willing to put in the work and actually get good at this shit, we will bring you up with us as we take over the fucking space. Someone called us Pinky in the Brain. Well, what did Pinky in the Brain want to do? Not charge people a couple $1,000s to join their mastermind, right? They do the same fucking thing every night, take over the world. And that's where we're going. And we can take you guys with us if you want to work with us. It's up to you, though. But the need for creative strategists is not going away anytime soon. I truly believe that. If you guys learn this skill set, you'll be good for the next five years conservatively. Probably longer than that. But I don't like to make like crazy promises. I think you're good for at least the next 5 years conservatively. So the need for creative strategists is not going away. But your chance to establish yourself as one of the best creative strategists will not last forever. This is a relatively new position that did not exist before AI. You had people that were doing like creative strategy type shit, but you didn't have the constant demand for creative strategists among companies. And you're seeing it pop up all over the place right now. And these are lucrative, high prestige positions that also can come with a lot of payout and equity and rev share and stuff that can make you not just good money on a month-to-month basis, but can also set you up with the right deal. And we know that because we get a lot of these deals thrown at us all the time. So it's a new position, and you have a limited opportunity to set yourself up in the premium spots right now. Like just from this call alone, how many people do you think, what percentage of creative strategists are thinking at this level? 1%? Maybe 1%, maybe, right? What percentage do you think are going to be operating at the level that we can get you guys to over the next 12 months? As we fucking do all this crazy shit, which we haven't even been paying attention to. Like, we're not ads guys. Now we are, because there's a lot of money in it. But this is like a couple months of focusing back on this shit, and we can lap people that have been doing it for years. What do you think we're going to do with a year of fully focused collective genius of our mastermind, people running and testing shit in hundreds of different markets? You think we're going to get slightly better? You think the people with us are going to get slightly better? We can help you do it. If you guys are interested in that at all, I would take advantage of the opportunity. We'll leave Genesis open. Like, it's not shutting down anytime in the next year. But if you guys want to join at the yearly discount, you got to sign up by midnight tomorrow, because that's when our tech team is taking it down. And if you guys should know by now, when we give deadlines, The deadlines, we honor the fucking deadlines. They're real. Just let me ask any of the 10 people in my inbox right now who apparently ignored the 40 something emails I sent about this workshop and are still asking me for a link to buy it. Which is funny because a lot of them are responding to the fucking last email where it was literally the robot giving you guys the middle fingers. So ads, yes, Bilal, but also like everything that a creative strategist would entail. Advertorials, VSLs, all the needle moving stuff. So that's my pitch. Sorry, I had to give you guys a pitch to make you guys wildly successful. Shame on me, but I actually care. And I think we get actually more equipped to deliver on this shit than anybody else out there right now. So that's all I got. I'm minimizing. Join the fucking program and we'll work with you. Peace.
Nice.
Cool.
Jesus Christ, there's a Darth Maul profile picture on here. It scared the shit out of me. Looking right at me. Cool. And also give you guys a little bit of some more heads up on other things is over the next little bit, I think Mario mentioned it, but over the next month and a half, we're going deeper on ad adjacent stuff, creative strategy stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that would not be relevant in here. Like obviously we're on day 2 out of 4 and like we try to jam so much stuff in here and there's so much more that we want to put on. And you guys haven't even seen all the other SOPs. But when it comes to like really scaling on cold traffic, being a creative strategist, it's also important to understand bridge pages, jump pages, advertorials, how to write amazing listicles, how to put those pages together, doing some of these like more like longer form VSLs. So 2 to 4 minute, 5 to 10 minute, 10 to 15, 10 to 20 minute VSLs. How you really can structure your tests in a scientific way so you can measure and put those tests together, how to work with editors in a deep dive. So over the next month and a half, this is what we're focused on. And we're going to be doing some kind of workshop, likely a creative strategy workshop that's going to expand on all of this stuff here and go even deeper. So a lot of this stuff is pretty strategic. And for those who want to be creative strategists, it's going to be awesome because we're going to show you how to, the client side as well. A lot of stuff from Client Avalanche. And if you're on the business owner side, there's a lot of stuff on there too. And we're very, very committed. I didn't go out and get a creative strategist job for my own health. In fact, I was working till 1 a.m. last night making ads for this company. So it's going against my health, right? But I'm doing it to have the realest, most important stuff that's actually working for everybody on here as well. And I think, I don't know if Cosmin saw my message on here. Cosmin, I just point to him. There's many, many people who are crushing it. I point to him because he's kind of the poster child right now for a lot of the creative strategist stuff. I think in the last week, he just mentioned that he had 2, he's living in the dark. He's become a dark figure. But I think he mentioned, Cosmin, did you get, you can turn on the lights. I know it's late over there.
Yeah.
Did you, now people have reached out to you for consulting gigs, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, someone recommended me that I've wrote for like Spartan and like other big brands, and they're like, "Oh, I wanna jump on a call with him for a consultation." So they asked me. I said, "Yeah, okay." And tomorrow I'll jump with someone tomorrow, on an agency owner.
It's awesome. That's good. So Cosmin's had a super, I mean, it's all of his success, right? He works like an animal and very, very smart individual and a good marketer. So all the success is his own, but it's been cool to kind of watch this. And this is an opportunity where I see like, are copywriters going away? Like, no, like not really. And people have different arguments, like yes, kind of, whatever, depends on what you define as copywriters, but definitely the supply demand curve has reset, right? There's not this insatiable desire, but I cannot tell you how many people want to create a strategist. Like the demand has definitely exceeded the supply. Cosmin, in your experience, do you agree that there's a lot of demand more than what you as one man can fulfill?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like every week I get messages from someone about, yeah. And on Upwork is full of creative strategy, like every single day, tons of those. And they are not, $1,000. They're like 3, 4, 5, 6 and above.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, and if we do the hourly math, a lot of these have ended up being $200, not that we do hourly type stuff, but $200, $300 per hour if you if you know how to use the tools and stuff like that. It's not saying it's super easy, cushy job, but like it's work, but it's a great opportunity right now, and that's one of them as well.
And it's a pretty fucking fun job, to be honest.
Pretty fun.
It's pretty fucking fun compared to what
Pretty
most people do. It's pretty goddamn fun.
Pretty fun, and I believe there's more. So what I also put in the chat is, in the same way that Mario has his unhinged ads, here's a bunch of styles as well of types of ads that I'm going to be working on and codifying for you. Unsafe ads, funny ads, things like that. In addition to the creative strategy on the paid side, which is direct response, media buying, focusing on things like that, we're also going to be putting attention on what I would call more of a creative director role. So understanding both the organic side, understanding culture, because those two worlds are colliding a lot. And like I said, if you understand direct response at the level at which we do it here on like paid side, classic side, and you understand how to use AI, right, to maximize your creativity, like these tools, and you understand culture as like from a creative director, organic, that you would just become the perfect marketer, basically superhuman marketer, knowing all those different things. So that's what I will share, and that's all I have to do on that. I'm going to cover a couple last minute things. I know we're a little bit over time, and then we'll talk about what's tomorrow. Okay, so I got these big feet in my face. Let me get rid of that. Okay. All right. Thanks, Noah. That's what we need. We need a good pitch. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys all of these tools right now. So top 14 ad concepts, infinite ad machine, SOP, insight vectors, all these other bots, strategic allocation bot. That's going to be in the SOP, so you'll know how to use that. Ad tagging bot to basically tag if it's a cache concept. Segment surgeon to help break down your segments. The ad lottery bot, the offer brief bot, and hook training. Whew. Just a couple of resources for you to start today. One quick thing that I'm going to show for you guys, which is somebody asked about this, which is very powerful. I don't know if Kai is on here, but you guys can also give a little say thank you to Mr. Kai Feinberg. He's our AI agent guy. He's actually been building some crazy shit behind the scenes that even Mario hasn't seen. Yeah. Lots of crazy stuff. But basically somebody in here asked, they're like, oh my God, I need like something that I can put my Facebook ad library into and like just pop out an ad. And like 2 minutes ago, he was like, okay, there you go. So this is for all you guys, very basic tool, but all you got to do is put in your email, put in this Scrape Creator API key, and then put in a link to a YouTube or Facebook ad or whatever. So if, for example, I wanted to come and scrape this ad, right, that I was looking for, I just come in here, copy my ad link, and I pop in the link. I pop in my email. And then the Scrape Creator is really hard to set up the API. It's super, super hard. So we made an SOP. You have to go to the website. You have to join with Google. And then you have to press copy for the API key. Okay, they give you 100. They give you a bunch of credits to start, 100 credits. And then you can buy more, right? So super, super hard. This is what it looks like. You copy this key. You press this button. And boom. And we will see, I'll just show you. You might be scared. There you go. There's our transcript and our body text. So any ad that you need from now on, obviously there's tons of tools that are out there, but if you need like a super down and dirty version for this, you'll have access to that as well. Because I know some of you guys were asking for that. I for all the AI shit that I do, a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, I need like I need a transcript. So you just pop it in. YouTube, video, Facebook, whatever, and we'll create some more robust tools, but we have that available to you. So I'm going to put all of this here in day 2. Change that from you thought to there's all your links. So now you have access to those. I'll share this doc again. Tomorrow, what I would like you to do, you guys should start to have your segments and 30 different concepts that you want to test. Okay. So again, look at your swipes, your best ads, confident hypothesis, follow all the stuff that we did, and we will start writing tomorrow. So you should have your concepts, your build a buyer, whatever. What we have in store for you tomorrow is going to be very, very sick and very, very awesome. You'll get to watch a lot of the process beginning to end, and we're actually just making ads. That's everything tomorrow. Okay. It's just the doing of it. Okay. We've covered all the theory and concepts. Now we just get to have fun and actually do it. Okay. Yep, the 190, all of that is in here. Oh, maybe it's not. Good catch. Somebody get a good catch. Oh, it's got to be in here. I guess it's not. So let me find it. All right. Cool. That is pretty much all that we got. So tomorrow, we're going to start writing ads. We're going to have another guy come in. I'll introduce him. He's been hard at work behind the scenes and shit that you don't even know about. That's going to be awesome. And we'll get all these slides and the recording and everything popped up on here. Let me just know in the chat real quick, how was today? What did you learn? All good? Cool. Awesome. We appreciate you guys and your time. I don't take it lightly for you to come and hang out and spend the time with us. That's why we always do our best to make it as valuable as possible, because I just don't take it for granted. Time or your money or your attention or any of that. So appreciate you guys hanging out, and we will see you tomorrow.
Cool.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Enjoy your Thursday. Ciao.